Chapter 880. Under Li Longji's gaze, all of them expressed their opinions one after another. Regardless of whether they were sincere or not, at least they seemed to be sincere on the surface. Everyone agreed, and Li Longji's proposal of democracy was approved. The following details would be left to the Ministry of Rights to handle. What method would they use? Would they use the method used by the imperial clan or the method used by the commoners? There were many things involved, and it would take some time to figure it out. Outside the Hanyuan Palace Hall, Li Bai, the governor of the Ministry of Revenue, was standing there with a registrar accompanying him. The two of them were here to look for Zhang Zhong. Ever since the last self-analysis, Li Bai had decided to do his job well. Today, when he heard from the registrar that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had returned, he couldn't wait to see them. Who would have thought that when they first arrived at the Savant's restaurant, which was open 24 hours a day, and handed in the invitation, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. No one came out to tell them to enter, nor did they say what kind of reception they would receive. Only the registrar was quick-witted. When he saw an official turn around and leave after handing in the invitation, he immediately chased after him to ask. When he found out that the other party was from the Ministry of War, the left assistant minister, he didn't expect to be summoned. Turning around and leaving was the rule. This was because there were many officials who came to look for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. As long as the two of them were not in a hurry to go somewhere else, perhaps the prime minister would also come to take a look and discuss matters. He was in a hurry to leave because he had to attend the morning court. He couldn't delay, otherwise he wouldn't be able to enter. Only then did Li Bai and the registrar understand. They followed him to the outer wall of the Hanyuan Palace Hall and listened to the movements inside. They planned to wait until after the morning court to meet with Zhang Zhong and tell him about the feelings of Jidushi. At this time, Li Bai was very upset. He heard the voice of the eunuchs who were in charge of relaying messages in the courtyard, fearing that no one else could hear them. He thought of his wife and felt that he had lived in vain. He had never heard of Zhang Xiaobao having a court ceremony at his wedding. Thinking of this, Li Bai turned around and left. The registrar hurriedly pulled him back. Tai Bai, where are you going? Don't you want to see Zhang Xiaobao? Write a poem. Write it for my family. Write it for Zhang Xiaobao. I still have a wife at home. Li Bai stopped. He looked into the distance and said, Since I can't give her a gift, I'll give her something else. See you later. Sigh. Then, but, Tai Bai jinxing, help me write one too. Not for fragrant pawn houses you but for my family's this side wrong. The registrar paused for a moment, then thought of something and followed him out. In the Hanyuan Palace Hall, the marriage of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan was settled. When the officials thought that they were going to give Kei Tachin and the others official positions, Zhang Zhong stood up and said, Your Majesty, I have something to discuss with you. Pairs of eyes suddenly looked over. At this moment, Zhang Zhong was shining brightly in everyone's eyes. It was not because of his status as a minister. There were many ministers, but they had never seen a minister whose children's marriages were managed by the imperial court. One by one, they looked at Zhang Zhong. It was hard to tell whether they were envious or jealous. In any case, they were no longer as calm as before. Li Longji nodded and said, Minister Zhang, please speak. This morning, I met with my son Xiaobao at Savant's restaurant. When we were eating, we talked about the Ministry of Works. Xiaobao told me that the Ministry of Works is currently funded by the Imperial Court. However, there are many people in the Ministry of Works, and it should be self-sufficient. Therefore, I have a plan for the Ministry of Works to do business. The first thing they should do is to rent out steam engines and ships. I was afraid that the secret of the steam engine would be leaked, so I did not agree. However, I was worried that this matter was important, so I had to ask. If the others agree, I will ask Xiaobao again. Zhang Zhong said excitedly. It was not because of the steam engine. That thing was just sitting there. It was mainly because of the marriage of his son and daughter-in-law. Previously, he was still worried about how to carry out the series of steps. In the morning, when he heard his daughter Xiaobei say that they might use the gift of the imperial court, he was worried that the officials would not agree. Now that the matter had come to an end, he could not control himself when he thought about the future. Li Longji looked at Zhang Zhong and could not understand how Zhang Zhong could have such a calm son and daughter-in-law. Look at Xiaobao. No matter what he did or said, he was always so indifferent. Yesterday, he had managed to gain the upper hand with great difficulty. In the end, his daughter-in-law, who had not married into the family, took away a pile of brocades from him. Sighing in his heart, Li Longji did not care whether Chin and the others were anxious or not. He said to Zhang Zhong, "Minister Zhang, you have worked hard. How is the research on the steam engine going?" According to the rules set back then, it needs to be replaced generation after generation. Which generation is it now? The second generation. We are currently researching the third generation. Xiao Bao wants to take out the second generation, put it on the ship, and send it to the entrance of the Bohai Sea to be rented. When this subject asked about it, he refused to tell the subject in detail, saying that he was afraid that this subject would worry too much. When Zhang Zhong was speaking, he was not thinking about the steam engine at all. He was thinking about how the little immortal's son and daughter-in-law would give birth to a bunch of little immortals in the future. When that time came, their family would be even livelier. Before Li Longji could speak, Yuan Xianyao stepped forward and stopped him. This subject believes that this cannot be done. If it was any other matter, he would not care. However, he had no choice but to ask about the steam engine. This was the most advanced technology in the Great Tang, besides the telegraph. He had seen ships with steam engines before. They were very fast, and most importantly, they saved on manpower. Although they could not drive the propeller perfectly and only had wheels on the side, the bottom of the ship was equipped with a propeller. At the critical moment, they could change gears. Even if the bearings could not hold on for too long, they could still charge for a short period of time. Together with the cannons, their might was immeasurable. If this thing was rented out and another country obtained one and disassembled it to study the technology, how great of a loss would the Great Tang suffer? No, absolutely not. No matter what, he could not listen to Zhang Xiaobao anymore. Yuan Xianyao thought in his heart as he looked firmly at Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong, on the other hand, had an indifferent attitude. If it was possible, then it was fine. If it was not, then forget it. When the time came, the Ministry of Works would still do it like before. Li Longji frowned. It was not because he wanted to rent a ship. The Ministry of Works was earning money or the leakage of technology. It was because he could not think of what Xiao Bao was going to do. Bohai, then the opposite should be Japan and Xinhua. Which country was he going to focus on? Your Majesty. Gao Lishur, who was standing at the back, leaned forward. HM. Li Longji and Wei Wei turned their heads and listened. I reckon that Xiao Bao is going to make a big move again. Maybe it's because Your Majesty agreed to help him with the marriage yesterday, so he put more effort into the matter of the Great Tang. According to the past situation, Xiao Bao's plan will eventually form a chain. Things will definitely not be as simple as what Minister Zhang said. Gao Lishur spoke up for his godson, meaning that he wanted Li Longji to agree. Li Longji nodded and sat up straight. He looked at Zhang Zhong and Yuan Xianyao in front of him and said, Minister Zhang, since it was Xiao Bao's idea, I should have agreed. However, this matter is too important. I need a detailed plan to reassure the people. Yes, I will remember. Zhang Zhong understood. The emperor meant that regardless of whether there was a detailed plan or not, he would support Xiao Bao. However, in order to shut others up, he had no choice but to ask for a copy. Yuan Xianyao opened his mouth, but didn't say anything in the end. He could only wait for the plan and take a closer look at it to see what else Zhang Xiaobao could do with his devilish calculations. This matter was considered to have been discussed. The other officials didn't interrupt and didn't dare to directly object. If Zhang Xiaobao's plan was effective, wouldn't they say too much? If Zhang Xiaobao thought that they had ulterior motives, they wouldn't be able to enjoy good things in the future. It was only at this time that Li Longji turned his gaze to Chin and the others. He began to confer official positions, praise, and made a promise to treat the people of the Great Tang well. From the beginning to the time when Chin and the others were rewarded, they didn't show any dissatisfaction. They didn't have any manpower available and couldn't raise any conditions with Li Longji. At the same time, they were more afraid that if they showed an unsuitable attitude and Zhang Xiaobao found out, he might do something. In the courtyard of the Savant's Pavilion, Xiao Bei and the others were still sleeping. They were tired from eating and playing yesterday. The sun was high in the sky, but they didn't wake up. Xiao Bei, who was sharing a small bed with Xiao Yuan, squeezed Xiao Yuan until he was about to fall off. If Xiao Bei didn't use Xiao Yuan's arm as a pillow, Xiao Yuan would probably be sleeping on the floor now. I asked you to compose a poem for me, but you didn't. If there weren't outsiders, I will let you know how powerful I am. Xiao Bei kept muttering in his sleep. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who came to see their younger siblings, bent down to listen to Xiao Bei's muttering. They vaguely heard this sentence. After wiping the saliva from his sister's mouth, Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan with a smile and opened his arms. What? You want to be a target for me to practice my boxing? Wang Wan asked, puzzled. Nothing. Just a hug. Zhang Xiaobao moved forward. Wang Wan stood still and let Zhang Xiaobao hug her. She said, What are you doing in broad daylight? You're like a child. How old are you? Let's go. I'll accompany you to perfect the plan. You'll solve Xinluo and weaken Japan within a year. Your goal isn't small, but you might not succeed. Let's do it first. As long as Xinluo has ambition, I'm confident. Should we wait for the engagement steps to be completed? We don't have to worry about counting the days after that. Then we can get married. Then we can sleep together. Zhang Xiaobao was more straightforward when it came to other things, but he didn't know how to do this kind of thing. Wang Wan still deliberately teased him and said, Yes, then from today onwards, don't live together at night. Otherwise, you'll sleep like Xiao Bei and be dishonest. I'm talking about that. What? It's counting the stars. Why didn't I collect information about this back then? You're so silly. Let's go down and see how many officials have sent us posts. See if there's anything useful in them. We have to take a good look at them. Wang Wan's evaluation of Zhang Xiaobao in this regard was that he was cute. Just like that, she was hugged by Zhang Xiaobao and moved to the door step by step. There's a Li Bai here. It says that he's in charge of his position. Here, take a look. It's very interesting. He even gave an opinion. After flipping through the names and the posts that came with them, Zhang Xiaobao found Li Bai's and handed it to Wang Wan. What's written? Let me take a look. Li Bai also doesn't allow it. Fortunately, his situation now is much better than in history. I really don't know if I should let you help him like this. If there really is a minister named Li Bai in the future, then won't there be one less immortal poet? Wang Wan took it and looked at it. She suddenly laughed and said, This Li Bai only knows how to come up with bad ideas. When I asked him to correct the form, he actually said that it was difficult to look at it. He wants to make the form transparent, and the person filling in the form has to be the same. Then, when two pieces of paper are connected, the difference can be seen. Immortal poet Li Bai. If other people know about this, what do you think they will think? But why do I feel that this method is a bit familiar? It seems that something similar appeared in that place. Of course, it's similar. When signing a contract, there are two layers. If the signed words are printed, then can't you cheat money? It's just that the technology is more advanced than this. It's nothing. Don't think about Li Bai writing poems. Why don't we let him go through the history you said again? Since we are here, let's treat it as another place. Stories, it's all stories. The things in the stories can be said to be true or not. Zhang Xiaobao was still an authority in this area. When he thought of a certain historical figure that Wang Wan occasionally mentioned, he was a little absent-minded. Wang Wan made a big cross on the method that Li Bai wrote and wrote below, Doing things is like writing poems, slowly accumulating. If it is not cold to the bone, how can the fragrance of plum blossoms assail the nose? She put it aside and leaned her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder. She said softly, Fortunately, I have you. Otherwise, what would I do if I was alone? I'll get the medicine later. What medicine? Zhang Xiaobao stretched out his arm and asked Wang Wan. The medicine that won't leave any side effects when counting the stars tonight. What medicine is that? I'm not getting it. You should continue counting the moons. What's wrong now? Counting the moons, counting the moons. Where's the plan for Xinluo? I'll let them all count the moons. The clouds in the sky were still drifting leisurely, and the sun shone through the clouds onto the ground. Beside the pond in Xingqing Palace, Li Longji and a few important officials were sitting on empty chairs. The words "authentic water cloud" were written in gold on the sides of the chairs. The weather was hot, and there was a fan blowing by the side. There was also a bowl of chilled plum juice being sipped from time to time, and there was even a large umbrella over their heads. This was supposed to be a relaxing and refreshing time, but everyone, including Li Longji, except for Zhang Zhong, was sweating nonstop. Li Linfu's hand trembled as he held a piece of paper. He had just looked at it and put it back on the small table. He gasped for breath twice and raised his sleeve to wipe the sweat on his forehead. He leaned back and said as if he had lost all his strength, "Ruthless, really ruthless. I wonder who will be the next after taking care of Xinluo, Japan, or the southwestern side." Li Longji didn't care about Li Linfu's loss of composure. He smacked his lips twice and felt that it was still dry. He picked up the special herbal tea on the table that Zhang Xiaobao had given to Gao Lishur and was snatched by him. He took a sip and swept his eyes in front of the officials. In the end, his eyes stopped on Zhang Zhong's indifferent face. Everyone else was sweating. Only Zhang Zhong sat there quietly, looking like he had nothing to do. He knew Zhang Xiaobao better than anyone present. That was his son. Although the plan was a little evil, his son was a little immortal. It was normal. Everything was normal. Li Longji looked for a while and said, "Minister Zhang, has Xiaobao mentioned anything about going back to the northern part of Hebei recently?" "No." Zhang Zhong shook his head. "He will probably wait until autumn, when the crops are ripe before going back. His mother misses them, and Xiaobao also wants Bei to stay in front of us for a while. At the same time, he wants to wait for the 4 events to end. As for the wedding date, he doesn't care. When the time comes, he will welcome the bride." Zhang Zhong was experienced and knew his son's thoughts. At the same time, he felt that his son was indeed different from the children of other families. He had slept on the same bed since he was young. Those who were slightly more wealthy would have already done the wedding ceremony with other women. Looking at Cuckoo, he realized that nothing had happened at all. As for the daughter of the Wang family and his son before they got married, they probably wouldn't care. They couldn't separate the two of them just because they were going to get married. Li Longji understood as well. He couldn't just ignore it. He picked up the proposal book on the small table and flipped through it casually. He said, "I remember when I first found out about Xiaobao and Cuckoo. At that time, the two of them were using schemes to earn money. Later on, they were providing for local construction. Now, it's fine if they don't come up with a plan. Once they do, it will definitely be a plan to destroy the country. From the looks of it, the Ministry of Works can install a steam engine on the ship and send it to the entrance of the Bohai Sea for rent. Whether it's Xinluo or Japan, whoever has such thoughts will be the first to be unlucky." As Li Longji spoke, he looked at Yuan Xianyao. He had once objected. Yuan Xianyao and Li Longji looked at each other and said, "I agree, but you have to pay attention to the safety of the people from the Great Tang who are going to take care of the steam engine." At this moment, he couldn't say anything to refuse. It was written clearly in the plan. As the people who went far away returned, there would be something called rubber that would flow out of the tree. That thing had many uses. One of them was sealing. With the improvement of smelting technology, the copper and aluminum pads produced could allow the steam engine to reach a very high level in a short period of time. There was also the research on the refinement of the water. As long as the two things called gasoline or diesel were produced, or even the purity of alcohol was high enough, there would immediately be another machine that was better than the steam engine. It was called the internal combustion engine. When that time came, it would be a really good thing. It would be used in the military, and some less important technologies could be gradually opened up to the people. The plan also mentioned that the rental of the steam engine ship would not be personally managed by the person who rented it. Instead, the Great Tang would send people to be in charge of the engine room. One was to earn money. They could earn more money for the Ministry of Works so that the Ministry of Works would not rely too much on the imperial court's financial allocation. The other was to train the crew. At the same time, the maintenance people could also practice and provide intuitive information for the construction of new motor ships. Of course, the most important thing was not these two, but the third one. The third one was that regardless of whether Xinluo wanted to go to the island next to Xinyuan Island to get sugar or specifically wanted to obtain the Great Tang's technology, they would definitely spend money to rent it. When the time came, they would accept the higher price. Currently, Xinluo had already cut down many trees in many places. At the same time, They were helping the Great Tang grow cotton. Their national strength seemed to be increasing, but in fact, they were more dependent on the Great Tang. Xinluo, who did not have much savings, had to take out a portion of the money. In terms of finances, it could be said to be one disaster after another. Then, they would need manpower to grow sugarcane and sugar beets. When there was a conflict with the local people, they would need an army. At that time, the population of Xinluo would be divided. A portion of them would run to the distant island, and their economy would become a decisive dependence. When the population decreased, Xinluo would be able to integrate into the Great Tang. If the people of Xinluo wanted to use force to snatch the steam engine ships when they were renting them, that would be even easier. Wang Wan was about to become a lady from a noble family, but did anyone feel that the knife was not effective? Yuan Xianyao could not find a reason to object. If he had to object, then he would object for the sake of objecting. There was a saying in front that he would do that, so there was naturally no need to talk about the result. After some thought, Yuan Xianyao said, "Your Majesty, I still have some doubts." Doubt lie. Seeing that Yuan Xianyao did not object, Li Longji's attitude changed accordingly. I would like to ask about the follow-up plan. Anyone who knows about Jidushi Zhang knows that when he comes out with a plan, there will definitely be a supplementary plan. The supplementary plan will be even more ruthless. I don't believe that there is only one explanatory plan. Yuan Xianyao still wanted to ask for more. He always felt that Zhang Xiaobao was more concerned about money. No matter what he did, he would still earn money in the end. Li Longji looked at Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong was still sitting there steadily. From time to time, he would pick up a grape and stuff it into his mouth. This was what his son and daughter-in-law had told him. When it was hot outside, one should not drink too much water. It was easy to lose salt, making one thirsty and dehydrated. It was best to eat fruits. They had high water content and could replenish water. It could also replenish sugar and other nutrients useful to the body. Moreover, this fruit sugar came and went quickly, so there was no need to be afraid of gaining weight. Of course, Zhang Zhong had to listen. His son and daughter-in-law would not harm him. Therefore, in this short period of time, he ate a lot of fruits. At this moment, when he saw the emperor looking over, he shook his head blankly. I don't know either. As for earning money, it is also the imperial court. My family does not lack money. Even if Xiao Bao earns money for my family, it is only a little. Old man Yuan Xianyao curled his lips. His beard also moved as he cursed in his heart. To Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, earning a little would be a huge amount of wealth to others. Moreover, Zhang Xiaobao would not let go of any opportunity. Every time he did something, he would earn a little, and it was the kind of money that could last for a long time. It could be said that many things made a mickle. It was estimated that the imperial court's finances were suddenly out of money. As long as they confiscated Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, the imperial court would be able to support them for 3 to 5 years without collecting any taxes. I don't have anything else. I just want to know the follow-up plan. I hope that Minister Zhang will urge me. Yuan Xianyao looked at Zhang Zhong, who kept eating fruits, and said with some disdain. Zhang Zhong didn't care. Could it be that he didn't lack fruits at home, but he couldn't eat them outside? Moreover, the fruits in the palace were no different from those at home. They were all quite good, and he didn't feel uncomfortable eating them. After swallowing the grape in his mouth, Zhang Zhong nodded. Then he shook his head. I will ask Jidushi Zhang, but I can't guarantee whether Jidushi Zhang will say it or not. After all, as the Minister of Works, I can't control Jidushi Zhang. Perhaps Yuan Zhongshu can ask him personally? Yuan Xianyao was almost angered to death. He muttered, "It's good that father and son are high-ranking officials. At the crucial moment, they can still use their status to differentiate. When needed, they can be the son. When it's necessary, they can become the Jidushi Zhang." Li Longji didn't care about this. It was fine as long as he got the information he needed. He instructed Zhang Zhong and let the few of them leave. After everyone left, Li Longji asked Gao Lishur, "Xiao Bao has grown up. Previously, I said that he would participate in the imperial examinations this year, but he didn't come back. He missed it and has to wait until next year. Can you think of a way? I want to transfer him back to the capital and let him enter the secretariat. Other than not letting him be the secretariat head, everything else is fine. At that time, I will be at ease. At that time, he will have the final say. Yuan Qianyao will be the person at the front. With Xiao Bao overseeing the secretariat, I will be able to sit back and relax. As for Cuckoo, she will also be placed in the secretariat. She will be in charge of military matters. Originally, I didn't want a woman to be an official, but Cuckoo is an exception. I reckon that when Cuckoo grows up, she will also have to be given a good position. Gao Lisher nodded and said, "This subject also knows that it is fine to let Xiao Bao lead the entire Tang Empire in the secretariat. However, Xiao Bao doesn't seem to like staying in one place. Cuckoo's thoughts are more focused on Xiao Bao. This subject feels that it is better to ask the two of them first. And go ahead and ask. If it really doesn't work out, add an additional autumn examination. Leave the top score position for him. Hasn't he been studying all this while and wants to rely on his own abilities to become the top scorer? What do you think we should give them after the engagement? We can see that Xiao Bao has been waiting for this day for a very long time. Haha, he actually went to look at the moon." Li Longji couldn't help but laugh when he thought of Zhang Xiaobao's arrogance. Gao Lisher also tried his best to hold back. He also couldn't understand why this godson, who was smart in other aspects and could be said to be able to scheme against the heavens and earth, would become a different person when it came to such matters. "Your Majesty, this subject feels that ordinary gifts can't be given, let alone money. Even if the official position has not been engaged, it should be given. Shouldn't it be given to a place? For example, a lake or a mountain?" Chapter 881. The water in the cup bobbed up and down, twisting and turning back. Where did the colorful butterflies dance with the zither, elegantly chasing after the intoxicating fragrance? On a warm day, in the hibiscus garden by the Tujiang Lake, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finally had time to gather with their relatives. They brought all kinds of cooking utensils and chose a good spot. There were women in the inner courtyard playing the zither and flute. The two of them laughed and talked to their parents and grandparents about the recent events. The little ones ran around everywhere. Occasionally, they would come over to ask for a bite of food and then turn around to play. Even Zhang Xiaohai, who is usually a quiet person, had become a child. Within a radius of 200 meters, the entire circle was guarded by 500 people. No one was allowed to come close. Even if the imperial family's garden was open to the public today, ordinary people would not think of coming to the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family to watch and play. No one would reason with them one by one. Even so, the person in charge of the hibiscus garden was scared out of his wits. He even arranged a layer of guards outside. If anything happened to this family, no matter how many heads he had, it would not be enough to be chopped off. According to his idea, the entire hibiscus garden was sealed off. However, the people from the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family had already gone too far. He did not agree. "Mother, how do you usually take care of yourself? Tell me. I will see if I can come up with a new product or a new skincare method. If I build a beauty salon, I will definitely make money. If you don't believe me, you can ask the people who come to play outside. Do you look like my sister?" When Zhang Xiaobao was massaging his grandmother's legs, he did not forget to talk to his mother. After a few sentences, Zhang Xiaobao burst out laughing and glared at her son. "Your mouth has become flowery. Go tell Cuckoo." "No, I'm just telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can ask my father. My mother is getting younger and younger. What should I do? It seems that I have to find a way to make men not age too quickly." Zhang Xiaobao continued to coax the Zhang Wang clan. Although the Zhang Wang clan knew that it was fake, she was still happy when she heard it. She looked at her son with pity and said, "Don't worry about everything. The world is so big, I can't manage everything. As long as you guys are fine, Mother is happy. And Cuckoo, you can't bully her. Otherwise, Mother won't forgive you. Cuckoo, come, Mother. Tell Mother, did Xiao Bao bully you?" Wang Wan was embroidering. She came over and said with a smile, "He bullied you. He really bullied you. Was it Xiao Bao? Why don't you tell the truth? I'm still looking at the moon and making delicious food for you every day. As a person, you have to have a conscience. Mother, don't listen to her nonsense." Zhang Xiaobao quickly complained. Mother naturally believes Cuckoo. "Cuckoo, let Mother take a good look and talk to mother. Xiao Bao, go to your father. The Ministry of Works is busy recently. Don't let your father tire himself out. Jiang Wang clan hugged Wang Wan and chased Zhang Xiaobao away. Then, she started chatting with her future in-laws. Xiaobei was crazy for a while. When he saw others playing the guqin, he also got someone to carry a guqin and put it by the river far away from his family. They were already out of the circle of protection, so the guards could only split up and watch from a distance to prevent any accidents. Xiaobei pulled Xiao Yuan over and played the guqin a few times. He turned to look at Xiao Yuan and asked, "Do you have that feeling of harmony between the guqin and the heart?" When Xiao Yuan was dragged over, he was reciting poems with his grandparents. He planned to show off, but he was interrupted by Xiaobei. He was obviously not in a good mood. He said in a low voice, "Yes, there is. Alas, it is like Mount Tai." Mount Tai? I didn't think that far. I watched the butterfly play. It seems that you and I can't connect like brothers and sisters. Xiaobei regretfully shook his head. Xiao Yuan was about to cry. He was really suffering. "Xiaobei, let's talk. Can you not imitate adults? Connect our hearts? You have to do something that can connect our hearts. I thought you were playing the guqin. You're the one imitating adults. I'm not young anymore. I'm going to find someone who can connect our hearts. I don't want you anymore." Xiaobei stood up angrily and stared at a place by the river. There were a few large rocks there, and a little boy was sitting on one of them. He was looking at the water, and no one knew what he was thinking. Xiaobei glanced at Xiao Yuan proudly and ran over. Xiao Yuan imitated the adults and patted his head. He instructed the guards behind him, "Follow him. Don't fall into the water. I'll go back and talk to grandfather. Forget it, I'll follow." Xiaobei trotted over to the rocks and curiously sized up the little boy who was sitting there looking at the water. She couldn't estimate his age and temporarily decided to treat herself as an older sister. Thus, she asked, "Hey, little brother, what are you looking at?" The little boy was startled by the sudden voice. He turned his head and looked at Xiaobei warily. When he saw that Xiaobei was a girl, he felt a little better. However, he didn't say anything. He was obviously not as mature as Xiaobei and the others. "Say something. If you say something, I'll give you something to eat. I have candy here. Tell me, is there something fun in the water?" Xiaobei took out the candy from her bag and gave it to him. When the little boy saw the candy, he happily reached out and received it. He sadly said, "Father doesn't want me anymore. He doesn't want mother either." "Hey, how did you know? Did your father tell you personally?" Xiaobei asked suspiciously. "Father just finished the spring examination. Yes, the spring examination. I have to be an official here. I have to be with other women every day. I miss my mother, so I asked father to find her. Father didn't agree." The little boy sadly told Xiaobei the reason. Xiaobei nodded and asked, "Little brother, how old are you?" 6 years old. That's a fake age. You promise that you're younger than me, so you call me older sister. Then what kind of woman is your father with? Older sister will help you think of a solution. Xiao Yuan, come here and listen. Something big has happened. My younger brother is being bullied. Xiaobei blurred the matter of age and still treated him as an older sister. She turned around and waved at Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan quickly walked over and frowned. He was no longer as soft as before in front of Xiaobei. He said to Xiaobei with a sullen face, "Don't just call them relatives. Don't you know your status? If you're being used by others, your older brother and sister will have to worry. Being born in a family like ours, you can't be like a child all day." "I know. Then, little brother, tell me, what kind of woman is your father with?" Xiaobei pouted and turned around to ask the little boy again. The little boy couldn't speak and think like Xiao Yuan and Xiaobei. He could only think hard and answer softly. "Rich. My father is the registrar of Wang. A woman came to look for my father and gave him wine, delicious food, and new clothes. He was over there, playing the zither and drinking wine. I ran out by myself. When the little boy was being treated, he pointed to the lower reaches of Chu River and looked like he was about to cry. Xiaobei nodded. Then tell your father to do his job properly and bring your mother here. Yes, I did. Father said that he is the Lord, the registrar, right? Yes, he is an official, so he has to be like that. My mother is still waiting at home." When the little boy mentioned his mother, tears flowed down his cheeks. Xiao Bei smacked her lips and said, "Oh, I know, the registrar of Wanyan County. An official? What a big official. Wanyan County is in Gongji province, and it's even more powerful than a county. The registrar should be Xiao Yuan, a 7th rank official. He has just finished the spring imperial examination, and he can get a 7th rank official position. It's really impressive. It's even more impressive than your position as the county magistrate of Jian and County. What do you want to do?" Xiao Yuan remembered this more clearly. Usually, she was beside Xiao Bei like a secretary. "Nothing much. I just want to get to know him." Xiao Yuan. If a person who has just become an official can abandon his wife, won't he betray the Tang dynasty if he encounters any problems in the future? "Registrar, you and I are responsible for inspecting all the officials in the Tang dynasty. If we don't ask when we meet them, wouldn't we be neglecting our duties?" Xiao Bei put his hands behind his back. When he spoke, it sounded like he was doing something right. If his voice was not that of a child, it would be even better. Xiao Yuan sighed. "What if he has difficulties? I'll help to solve it. Are you going? If not, I'll tell sister and your mother." Xiao Bei patted the little boy's head. "Do you want me to get the seal? Let's bring the Supreme Court along too. We'll arrest and investigate." Xiao Yuan cooperated. Xiao Bei smiled proudly and pulled the little boy up. "I've already brought it. How can I just casually put something that I use frequently? Let's go, little brother. Sister will help you find your mother." "How is it frequently used?" "It's only been used twice. To be able to be directly appointed as a 7th rank official in an important place with real power, he probably has some backing. Go ahead and investigate." Xiao Yuan followed behind, shaking her head and sighing. When they reached the place, Xiao Bei had already asked about the general situation. The little boy's surname was Ma, and his father's surname was also Ma. His name was Ma Peng, and his family lived in Duji province, which was near Luoyang. The little boy was not sure about his age. He only knew that he had passed the imperial examination 2 years ago, and this year he had taken the imperial examination. His results were not bad, being 22nd. After the examination, as soon as the results were out, someone came over and dragged him to drink. Then he got to know that woman. It had been more than 2 months since then. The woman's house was very big, and they had to walk 4 doors to get to the place where they slept. A few days ago, they even visited all the zoos in the capital, whether they were paid for or not. The little boy also went to the Joy House to eat twice. He ate on the 4th floor, not the 5th floor, nor did he go to the roof. The little boy's clothes were for the spring season at the Xinliu Children's Clothing Store under the capital's Shuiyun Group. After Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan found out about this matter, they concluded that the woman's family should have an official background. Furthermore, they had some money, but not much power. Otherwise, they would not have been unable to go up to the 5th floor. This was because the 5th floor's price was not as expensive as the 4th floor's, but there were better new dishes. However, that required status. There were 2 ways to obtain this status. One was to be an official of the 5th rank or above in the capital. The other was to have a deposit of 100 million coins in the Tang Bank, which was 100,000 strings of coins. That was a deposit. Those who had a deposit would not only get special treatment in the Joy House, but also in the transactions between the Zhang family and the Wang family. 100,000 strings of coins was a number that many people did not even dare to dream of, but for Zhang Xiaobao, this was the bottom line of his credibility. Of course, this money was not under Zhang Xiaobao's control. If it was in the bank, Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that this precedent would be set and that someone would use the deposit to commit crimes. The summer song reflects the concubine's heart, and the song is continuous and full of affection. Continuous and long-winded and endless. When Xiao Bei arrived, there was a woman playing the zither and singing. He did not know who wrote the lyrics, but it was very unpleasant. Looking over there were more than 10 people. If no one had left, then there would be 13 people. Including the little boy beside Xiao Bei, there were 14 people in total. There were 6 men and 8 women. Excluding the little boy, there were 5 men and 8 women. One woman was playing the zither and singing softly, while the other was playing the flute. They drank and drank happily. Among them, there was a person wearing a light green-patterned official's robe. He was the center of the 13 people. Basically, they all surrounded him. Needless to say, Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan knew that this was the little boy's father, Ma Peng. There was a woman beside him. She was leaning sideways and smiling sweetly. Her attitude was very ambiguous. She was probably a woman from that family. Xiao Bei curled his lips and muttered, "He's afraid that others don't know that he's a 7th-rank official. If I had known earlier, I would have worn my 4th-rank official's robe and scared him to death. Yes, and also my goldfish bag." It wasn't easy for him to become an official. It's good for him to be awe-inspiring for a while. I'm just afraid that his eyes are not bright enough, and he will offend people. In a capital, don't talk about being a high official. How can he ask? Xiao Yuan also looked down on him. Look at me, little brother. Shouldn't you treat us to something to eat? We're hungry. I think that roasted lamb is not bad. It can be cooked soon. There's also wine, grape wine. We can have some too, right, Xiao Yuan? Xiao Bei said to the little boy. He wanted to drink again and was afraid that Xiao Yuan would tell. Xiao Yuan didn't say anything, indicating that he agreed. The little boy nodded a little timidly. He walked in front to the barbecue rack. Before he reached the place, he was discovered. "Little boy, where did you go? I couldn't find you just now. Whose children are these two?" After Ma Peng saw his son, his eyes fell on Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. The two of them had good looks. They were delicate and clean. When he looked at their clothes, he was puzzled. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were wearing cotton clothes today. They were light yellow, but at first glance, they seemed to be white. They didn't have the smooth feeling of silk. They were very comfortable to wear, absorbed sweat, and breathed in. Nowadays, people with some status like to wear branded clothes. Brands were also popular because of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They were either embroidered on the sleeves, the chest of the clothes, or put on the collar. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan naturally wouldn't wear branded clothes. They were specially made by their own family. The materials used were exquisite, the tailoring was fitting, and the style was novel. Other people who had some money liked to wear leather boots and shoes. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were wearing cloth. The soles were high, and the insides were hollow. They were like casual shoes. Because it was the season now, people wore leather to cover their feet. It was this kind of dressing that made Ma Peng confused. The fitting clothes were not something that could be obtained easily. It had to be specially made. However, it was not silk. If it was cotton, it would be too fine. At the same time, he couldn't find the stitches. Whose child was this? What was his identity? Where was his family? With doubts, Ma Peng didn't directly chase them away. The little boy was obviously afraid of his father. He said timidly, "I went somewhere else and met them. I said I was hungry and wanted to eat sheep." Ma Peng smiled slightly and waved at Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. When the two came closer, he asked kindly, "What are your names? Where do you live?" As he spoke, he saw how cute Xiao Bei was and wanted to pat Xiao Bei's head. Xiao Bei hurriedly took 2 steps back, not because he was afraid of being touched, but because he was afraid that Ma Peng would die. There were so many sniper rifles in the surroundings, and he couldn't possibly kill him the moment they met. "My name is Xiao Bei, and he is Xiao Yuan. We're childhood friends. We live next to the East Market of the capital. We do business there." Xiao Bei didn't lie. He was very honest. It was just that he chose his words. When Ma Peng heard this, he misunderstood. He was led into a ditch by Xiao Bei. He thought that Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were the children of 2 businessmen who had a stall in the East Market. They were from the capital and did small business. Their family took advantage of the opening of the hibiscus garden and brought them out to play. They ran around and met his son. It was just that he was a little puzzled. He was wearing an official's uniform. Children should be afraid when they saw him. Why did he only see innocence in the eyes of the 2 children? They were not afraid or curious. "Wang Chang, cut some meat. Cut it thin and let Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan eat." Ma Peng stopped guessing and ordered a person beside him. The person immediately went over and cut 2 big pieces. He then cut them into smaller pieces and sent them to Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan couldn't eat either. They found a place to sit and put the tray on their legs. They started eating. After eating 2 mouthfuls, Xiao Bei stopped. The meat was thin, but it was a little big. It would always rub against his mouth. Xiao Bei stopped and rummaged through his bag. He took out a box and opened it. A small knife with teeth and a small fork appeared. He then cut the meat with one hand and the other. Xiao Yuan also received a set of cutlery and ate like Xiao Bei. Seeing the way the two ate, Ma Peng could no longer calm down. The 2 children didn't seem to eat very fast, but they finished 2 pieces of meat in a short while. Moreover, no matter how he looked at it, he felt that the 2 children's eating movements were graceful. It was as if they were not eating, but performing. They cut the meat, forked the meat, and put it into their mouths. Their movements were very skillful. It was obvious that they had not just started learning. What kind of family could nurture their children like this? Xiao Bei ate another piece and stopped. He smiled sweetly at Ma Peng and said, "Registrar Ma, thank you for treating me and Xiao Yuan to meet. I didn't expect you to know Prince Li Yan. You actually used a plate with the Prince Li Residence's symbol. Ah, it's even a product from Shui Yun. No wonder you don't want a wife. Do you think that you can wait for the day of your meteoric rise? Xiao Yuan, what do you think?" Xiao Yuan also ate 3 pieces and nodded. "It's very good. The sheep is also not bad. I tasted it and felt that it was a little lamb from Feng Province. The meat is tender but not loose, smooth but not greasy. The smell is light, and there is a milky fragrance. This should be specially provided by Feng Province to the palace. I didn't expect to be able to get it. I can't help but praise you." Ma Peng didn't have the same thought of treating children like before. Sweat flowed down his cheeks. His mouth was slightly open, but he didn't move. The hand holding the wine cup trembled, causing ripples to form in the wine. Who are you guys? What do you want?" Ma Peng tried to keep his voice steady. "Who we are is not important. What's important is that you answer our questions. Otherwise, your official position will be gone. Li Yin can't protect you, and he doesn't dare to protect you. Where's Ma's mother?" Chapter 882. Ma Peng had no time to care about the 2 children. They spoke like adults. He was so scared that his soul almost flew away. Li Yin, the other party, could see through him with a single sentence. Moreover, he could even know about the lamb that he had painstakingly asked for. This kind of lamb was fed a different kind of food. It was said that it was also fed with Chinese medicine. Any sheep that did not eat Chinese medicine would be eliminated. The 2 of them, a girl, could casually look at the plate and know that it was from the Li Palace. The other boy could taste it and tell the origin and breed of the sheep. Those who were not completely stupid would know that the family that the 2 children lived in was definitely not ordinary. Whose children were they? Weren't they doing small business? What did they ask me? My son's mother? She said that she did not want me to be an official. Even Li Yan did not dare to interfere? That's not right. Li Yan is the emperor's son. Could it be that the child told them, deliberately to trick me? Ma Peng thought about it and calmed down a little. He did not care about the gazes of the people around him. He put on a straight face and shouted at Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. "You 2 little brats, tell me, who told you to come here and make fun of this official?" "That's right, it's that insensible child." The girl beside Ma Peng said, "Find your family's lord. Do you know how high Registrar Ma's position is? Do you know who Li Yan is? If he kills your whole family, no one will dare to say anything." At this time, there was no need for Xiao Bei, who had been in front of them, to speak. As a man, when facing an external enemy, Xiao Yuan showed the courage that he should have. He reached out to protect Xiao Bei behind him and spat. "Bah, how high is the registrar official?" "The registrar official of Wanyan County is at the 7th rank. So high. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You dare to say that you are a high official in the capital? I'll catch you today and take you to the morning court tomorrow morning. Don't move. Don't say that I didn't remind you. If you move, die. Kill my whole family? Xiao Bei, don't move. Stand back. If I can't teach him a lesson, do you think that I Wang Xiao Yuan and made of mud? Don't move." Xiao Yuan changed his weak appearance from before. It was as if he was a different person. He scolded Ma Peng. Xiao Bei's eyes were filled with stars. At this moment, she felt that Xiao Yuan was really too handsome. Her heart was pounding as she opened her bag and took out something from it. She said to Xiao Yuan, "I'm not moving. I'm taking out my gun. Just because of what he said, I'll kill his whole family. Even Uncle Emperor will praise me. Since when can our family be threatened by others? Is the blood of Tubo not enough?" As he spoke, Xiao Bei took out a ping-pong grenade that was dotted with little stars. Ma Peng and his group were quite knowledgeable. When they saw what Xiao Bei took out, they immediately recognized what it was. It was a handgun. They weren't like Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had seen a lot of toy guns. The things that could be taken out now were basically real. With Xiao Yuan's shout and Xiao Bei's pistol, Ma Peng's group of 13 became well-behaved. Little girl, don't shoot. Surrender, we surrender." Ma Peng was astute. He didn't care about the size of the other party. He raised his hand first. In fact, the smaller the opponent, the more afraid he was. Children didn't care about so much and would shoot if they wanted to. The 12 people around him raised their hands one after another. They were sweating profusely. They couldn't figure out where the little girl in front of them had gotten the gun, but if she had a gun, it meant that her identity was not small. "Xiao Yuan, here, take it. You're a man. You're stronger than me." Xiao Bei gestured and stuffed the gun into Xiao Yuan's hand. Xiao Yuan held the gun with one hand, and the other hand firmly grasped the wrist of the other hand. He knew how strong the recoil would be. Xiao Bei rolled up her sleeves and ate another piece of mutton on the plate. She didn't forget to feed Xiao Yuan a mouthful. She smacked her lips twice and said, "It's a pity that Feng Province's mutton is given to you. Also, don't call me little girl. I'm a dignified 4th-rank official who inspects all the officials in Tang. Even if you find the old Secretary Yuan, as long as he makes a mistake, he will tremble when he sees me. Say, what do you plan to do, Ma's wife? It's not that I look down on you, but you're just a 7th-rank official in the Ming-Jing section. Look at how proud you are. I heard from my brother that my father was the top scorer in the catering section. When he came home, didn't he wake up early in the morning to help my mother draw her eyebrows? And my brother, with a wave of his hand, there's zombies thousands of miles away. He also likes to cook for Sister Cuckoo. He also helps Sister Cuckoo count the moons. One in the sky, one in the water." "Xiao Bei, you can't talk about this." Xiao Yuan nudged Xiao Bei with her shoulder and reminded her, "Oh, I won't talk about it. You official, Ma. I'm an official of Tang, the inspector and the Shaoqing of the Supreme Court." Uncle Emperor didn't say anything, so it's considered a tacit admission that I'm the assistant minister of the Ministry of Justice. "Let me ask you, what do you think?" Xiao Bei reacted and changed the topic to Ma Peng again. Ma Peng didn't need anyone to remind him of Xiao Bei's identity. When he heard the 2 words cuckoo, he guessed who Xiao Bei was. Her full name was Zhang Xiao Bei, so the Xiao Yuan beside her must be Wang Xiaoyuan, the child of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County, the daughter and future son-in-law Minister of Revenue Zhang Zhong, the younger sister and brother of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It was said that she could enter and leave the palace as she pleased. Ma Peng wanted to cry. No wonder the other party said that even Li Yin didn't dare to interfere. Indeed, how could Li Yin dare to provoke this family? He looked at the girl beside him and thought about how she said that she wanted to kill Xiao Bei's family. Ma Peng couldn't help but shudder. He glared and was about to say something ruthless to push the girl out, but he couldn't bear to do so. He sighed. Xiao Bei also sighed. She didn't know what to do. If Ma Peng had pushed the woman beside him out just now, then Ma Peng would have definitely died. In Xiao Bei's opinion, there was already a woman who was sad. If another woman was sad, then Ma Peng would not be a man. "We'll do as you say." Ma Peng no longer treated Xiao Bei as a child. He only hoped that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have time to care about this matter. Otherwise, with Wang Wan's character, she would be threatened and very likely to eliminate the source of trouble. Xiao Bei was also confused for a moment. She really didn't know what to do. She looked at Ma Peng beside her and shook her head vigorously. She said, "Capture them. I'll ask my brother and sister. It's so troublesome." Not long after Xiao Bei's voice fell, many people rushed out from all directions and surrounded the 13 people. They escorted them back with Xiao Bei. When they arrived, before anyone could ask, Xiao Bei ran to Zhang Xiaobao and opened her arms to let Zhang Xiaobao carry her. She said, "Brother, what should we do? What should we do?" It's Xiao Bei explained the situation from beginning to end. Chapter 883. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan arrested an official today. When it was time to sleep, Zhang Xiaobao stretched out one arm for Wang Wan to use as a pillow, while the other arm hugged Wang Wan's waist. His mouth was close to Wang Wan's ear as he spoke. "I know, what's the matter?" Wang Wan used her hand to press down on Zhang Xiaobao's hand, not allowing it to move as she asked. "Nothing, I just feel that the new registrar of Wanyan County is unlucky. Xiao Bei was born in a family like ours, and can't stand other people finding a few women. This is something that education can't make up for, unless you find another two, right? Which family do you fancy? I'll give you some advice. Our Xiao Bao isn't a good match for most people." Wang Wan's hand was no longer pressing down on Zhang Xiaobao's hand. Zhang Xiaobao's hand suddenly stiffened, and he didn't dare to move. In the past, he could still move up, but after a few breaths of time, he recovered. "That's fine, too. There's a shop opposite Savant's restaurant that sells lamb's face that sells quite well. His family has a daughter. Looking at her roughly, she should be around 16 years old. She's good-looking, more than one. 6 meters tall. The first impression she gives people is that she has big breasts. According to modern people's words, she has a lot of milk, and in the future, her child will grow up to be strong. The second impression is that she's pretty. She has a round oval face, a nose, eyes, and especially that mouth. When she purses her lips, the corners of her mouth curl up so far that people can really feel the curve of her lips. I've looked at her a few times and found that her hair is also beautiful. Others have hair like clouds or something, but I feel that when I look at her hair, it's already outdated. She has layers of clouds, and her voice is also extraordinary. When she speaks, people can hear her clearly. Unlike you, who usually speaks softly and gently to me. I can't see any strength in her small waist, and her legs aren't thick enough. Standing there, she looks like she hasn't been through any hardships. It makes people worry. In addition, I can only use one hand to touch her firm and perky breasts. When I touch them, move again, you're still counting the moons. Last time, I gave you a chance to count the stars, but you didn't take it. So you have to understand your situation. Be honest. Take it away. Ouch, you use so much strength. It hurts. You can't do it these 2 days. I've noticed that you always have an excuse to leave these 2 mornings. As Wang Wan spoke, she wanted to turn over, but gave up in the end. She moved closer to Zhang Xiaobao and asked. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly blushed. Fortunately, it was dark, and there was an orange lamp in the room. It was dimly lit, so Zhang Xiaobao couldn't see it. He shrunk his head and replied, "No, I didn't go anywhere. I want to look at the beautiful woman opposite me." "Really? If that's really the case, it'll be really hard on you. There are many beautiful girls in the inner courtyard, but won't they immediately, obediently go to your bed with just a word from you? Why do you have to look at that woman whose legs are thicker than your waist? She's stable. Her waist can fit 3 of you. She's strong, has a big mouth, nostrils like Wei Wei, and her hair isn't combed very naturally. Your nervous system is still very strong." Wang Wan turned her face and looked at Zhang Xiaobao as she spoke softly. Zhang Xiaobao shrunk his head back and laughed embarrassedly. Actually, I want to look at my family's business these 2 mornings. When I marry you in the future, there will be a lot of dowry. Hey, I suddenly remembered that a new batch of Hitian jade came into our jewelry shop. Do you like it? I'll make a bracelet for you, a pair of bracelets. Okay, I can feel your watery eyes. Don't glare at me. I'll confess everything. Actually, I didn't go to look at jade. I want to look at tonics that nourish yin and strengthen yang energy. After all, when you allowed me to count the stars, we were more confident, weren't we? Why don't you believe me? Yes, I've cheated many times in the past, and my hands are bloody. It's not unreasonable for you to think that I'm lying. But the truth is that because of physical reasons and my energy was focused on legitimate business, I didn't think about the matters between men and women. But I also understand the requirements of doing that kind of thing, right? What are you doing? Don't touch my hair. Wife, I just realized that you're really beautiful. You're gentle to me, and I went to the brothel in the capital that has a business relationship with my family. Okay? I didn't know what to do. I went to eavesdrop on the women and customers in the brothel. The excuse I found was that recently, some people who wanted to destroy my family's business secretly entered the capital and eavesdropped. I wanted to learn. I was going to change to another brothel tomorrow morning. Today's brothel didn't do anything in the morning. I'm stupid. You don't blame me, right? Wang Wan was stunned for a moment. Then she burst out laughing. She leaned forward and kissed Zhang Xiaobao's forehead. She said with a smile, "No wonder you knew how to move your hands yesterday. You're so capable. You only eavesdropped for 2 days, and you already know how to make people feel comfortable. You must have been a good student when you were studying in prison. If that woman and her patron knew about this, wouldn't they spread it everywhere?" Zhang Xiaobao, who organized the top ranking of billionaires, controlled the Great Tang Bank, stirred up a storm in the economic war, and came up with a plan to destroy a country, didn't know about this kind of thing. He even secretly eavesdropped on others. The people who were eavesdropped on would feel honored. Especially that woman. She would probably shut her door and refuse to see any guests. "Come, let me see my lovely Xiaobao. Oh, how did you take the photo? Why is your face so red? Tell me, what else did you learn? I'll give you some advice. I'm better than you. When I was in school, I watched a lot of good movies with my roommates. I know a lot. No. That's all. That's it. You don't blame me?" Zhang Xiaobao continued to do what he had heard and seen. "Don't move. I can't do it these few days. How can I not blame you? You're going alone. Why didn't you call me? I suddenly realized that you're more precious than a panda. All right, I know you have a strong learning ability. You should be busy this month. Next month, the month after that, I'll count the stars with you for 3 or 5 days. Go to sleep." Wang Wan kissed Zhang Xiaobao again and lay down again. Zhang Xiaobao also retracted his hand and looked at the ceiling. "All right, 1 month. Arrange everything in Xinluo. Next year, we'll go to Xinluo. That's where the Great Tang is. I know that you want to fight, but I'm not willing to directly use force. I just need to intimidate others with force. I don't want the soldiers of the Great Tang to die, because there are no zero casualties. All military operations are for the sake of politics. How about this? I'll arrange a war for you. Treat it as training for your soldiers and also obtaining more benefits for the Great Tang. When the time comes, you have to fight well. Even if you have to temporarily retreat, don't advance rashly and cause the Great Tang to lose too many soldiers." I just found something. It's very serious. Can you let me check again? I'll be gentle. Really, I won't use any strength. You're not allowed to go to that kind of place in the future, and you're not allowed to learn it. Otherwise, won't I be tortured to death by you? What do you want me to hit? I'm not telling you. It's not Xinluo anyway. Tell me, how did you? Don't say it. Oh, okay. I saw that woman actually use her mouth. Have you seen it before? So what if she uses her mouth? I've seen her use a knife. The next morning, in the Hanyuan Palace, I've heard that the imperial examination in spring this year is already done. However, the imperial examination in spring is far from enough. Therefore, I'll add an autumn imperial examination in advance and select knowledgeable people from the Great Tang, such as the Bohai Jidushi. What do you think? Li Longji brought up this matter during the morning court session. At first, the officials did not understand. Later, when they heard about the Bohai Jidushi, they understood. The autumn imperial examination that the emperor mentioned was for Zhang Xiaobao. It seemed that if the autumn imperial examination was really held, the top score would not change. No one would be able to push Zhang Xiaobao down. As long as Zhang Xiaobao participated, he would definitely be the top scorer. Whoever was not convinced could try. Some officials with bad tempers and straightforward natures who were unwilling to admit the status of the Zhang family and Wang family began to criticize in their hearts. Wasn't it just Zhang Xiaobao who wanted to be the top scorer? Couldn't he just casually give him the title of the top scorer? Why add an autumn imperial examination? All the scholars of the Great Tang would be tormented. Some might not even be able to make it in time. Then, there would be many officials who would be busy reviewing the examination papers. Li Longji did not care what others thought. In any case, he just mentioned it and the matter was settled. If he chose too many officials, he would not be able to arrange all of them in a short time. He could send them to Zhang Xiaobao. He believed that Zhang Xiaobao would definitely have a place to settle down. Move aside, don't block me. I'm looking for Uncle Emperor. While the Hanyuan Palace was silent, a clear voice came from outside. Even without the use of loudspeakers, the voice traveled very far. The officials heard a familiar voice and turned to look. They saw Xiao Bei wearing a bright red official robe. He had a goldfish pouch on his left and a silverfish pouch on his right as he strode into the palace. Behind Xiao Bei, there were 8 people dressed similarly. They stood in a row with their chests puffed out and their heads held high. They had the appearance of proper officials attending court. Behind the 9 of them was a 7th-rank minor official. His face was filled with panic as he looked around. Clearly, he had been brought here by Xiao Bei and the others. Zhang Zhong, who was not far from Lilongji, had good eyesight. He immediately saw who it was. Seeing the situation, he did not need to ask to know what was going on. Someone was unlucky and had been caught by Xiao Bei. However, such matters could not be dragged to the morning court every time, right? Zhang Zhong took 2 steps forward and stared at Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei, it's the morning court. Let's talk after the court. Xiao Bei was annoyed by this. It was clearly his own matter, but his father was stopping him. Previously, after he had his fill in the court, he was scolded when he returned home. However, he could not ignore today's matter. He signaled to the people behind him with his eyes. Xiao Yuan took a deep breath and stood up. He said to Zhang Zhong, I am doing the grace of the emperor to investigate the actions of the Tang Empire's officials. From the 9th-rank officials to the Hall of Secretaries, there is nothing that I do not ask. If they are obstructed or questioned in the same case, Minister Zhang, do you wish to cover for them? Zhang Zhong was angry. Yesterday, Xiao Bei and the others left in a hurry. He even said that he was going to find an official to ask for information. He did not expect that they were going to arrest someone. Today, he was even questioned. He heard that his son-in-law's words were not bad, but he could not be as mischievous as his daughter. Xiao Yuan, you... Zhang Zhong pointed at Xiao Yuan. He did not know what to say for a moment. Xiao Yuan also threw caution to the wind. At most, he would go back and plead with his brother and sister. For Xiao Bei, he would go all out. Hence, he took 2 steps forward and said, It has been like this since ancient times. The importance of the country lies with the people. The people rely on the officials for their affairs. The officials are virtuous but cannot do their best. The officials' actions are not righteous but cannot do their best. An official has 1 or more positions and can do their best. Minister Zhang is the Minister of Works. How can you stop me from patrolling? Even if you are the Secretary of State, you cannot stop the imperial censor. The heaven is above, the earth is below. The emperor is above, and family is below. Could it be that Minister Zhang wants to use your own body to suppress the etiquette between the emperor and his subjects? These few words stunned all the officials. They all looked at Zhang Zhong. Their hearts were filled with jealousy. Look at other people's children. Any one of them was not simple. Xiao Yuan, this little brat, was only a little bit old. He was discussing official matters and talking about the etiquette of the emperor. He definitely did not memorize it beforehand before bringing it to the imperial court. How exactly did the children of the Zhang family and Wang family raise? Then who was the one who was arrested? How unlucky to be targeted by the 9 children. Zhang Zhong did not know what he was thinking about this matter. He was happy and angry. His future son-in-law was not bad. He spoke so fluently, but did he not know who he was talking to? With a sigh, Zhang Zhong pointed at Xiao Yuan. You brat, you're good. Wait until you get home. Patrolling Wang is right. I've learned something. Please. When Xiao Yuan heard the latter part of the sentence, his face turned pale. He turned his head to look at Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei stuck out his tongue. He opened his arms and ran up to Zhang Zhong in one breath. He grabbed Zhang Zhong's hand and shook it back and forth. Father, big matter. Today is a big matter. Elder brother and elder sister did not stop me. Father is the best. Isn't that right, father? After he finished speaking, he saw that his father's face was still stiff. Xiao Bei let go of his father's hand and ran to Lilongji's chair. He grabbed the armrest and shook it back and forth. He whispered, "Uncle Emperor, please help me say something. If this continues, Xiao Bei will not dare to come again." The originally serious imperial court was changed by Xiao Bei. Some of the old-fashioned court officials lowered their heads and did not look. They could only sigh that public morals were deteriorating with each passing day and that people's hearts were no longer what they used to be. This was the second time that Ma Peng, who was captured, saw the emperor. Looking at him from afar, he did not feel excited at all. He finally experienced the power of this little girl, Xiao Bei. It turned out that she could casually interrupt the morning court and run to the emperor's room to make a fuss. All the court officials were watching. Any one of them was a fifth-ranked official or above, but no one stopped her. The Jinwu guards were also like decorations. Why was he so unlucky? Why did he have to go to the hibiscus garden? Li Longji was happy when he saw Xiao Bei. He patted Xiao Bei's head and said, "Good, Jin will speak for you. Tell Uncle Emperor, why did you capture him? What crime did he commit?" Uncle Emperor is the best. When you're not busy in the afternoon, Xiao Bei will come and sing for Uncle Emperor. He's an official and doesn't want his previous wife anymore. He divorced and didn't divorce, and his wife didn't do anything wrong. "Xiao Yuan, what do you say?" Xiao Bei was happy. She wanted to talk about it in detail, but found that she didn't know how to organize her words. She waved her hand at Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan took a loudspeaker from the eunuch next to her. She didn't dare to look at Zhang Zhong. Wei Wei tilted her head and said, "If one person doesn't get anything, he will implicate a family. If an official has no virtue, he will harm the people. If his wife is innocent, he will abandon her. How can an official bear virtue? If he can abandon his wife today, he will abandon his people tomorrow. If his family has a wife, he will find another daughter from a rich family." Last night, someone sent a letter to this official's residence, ordering this official to not pursue County Secretary Ma Peng for 10,000 years. This official lives on the monarch's salary. How can we be threatened by others? Therefore, this official is investigating Li Wang Li Yin colluding with foreign officials. Using his status as a member of the imperial family, he violated etiquette. This is a problem that cannot be ignored. When these words were said, the court officials no longer had the mood to laugh. Members of the imperial family could not collude with foreign officials. This had long been a rule, but under normal circumstances, no one cared. Ignoring it did not mean that it was allowed. Today, someone brought it up and pointed at Li Wang Li Yin. Who would win in the end? Li Longji's face became gloomy. He turned his head and asked Xiao Bei, "Did Yin really send people to threaten you last night?" "He dares." "The person who came did not threaten, but said that he would give us something fun to play with and let us go." "I won't do it. I only help Uncle Emperor. I don't listen to other people's words. Besides, what fun does my family not have? Want to bribe me? Dream on." But it is indeed someone from his family. The second steward in charge of foreign affairs in Li Wang Fu. I remember clearly. He has a mole on his face. I can recognize him when I meet him. The main reason is that he has Li Wang's name. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to see me. Xiao Bei pouted and complained. Li Longji thought about it and asked, "Your family didn't care?" "No, brother and sister asked and didn't say anything. I know that this is our own matter. We have to solve it ourselves, so I came today." Uncle Emperor, let me tell you, is a concubine of Li Wang Li Yin. Her younger sister took a fancy to Ma Peng. As for Ma Peng, you said that if you like that woman, you can marry her. But he was afraid that the woman's family would oppose him, so he didn't dare to bring his wife from elsewhere. He wanted to climb up Li Yin. I know that his family's little brother Ma is very pitiful. My father was the top scorer back then. If I do, what will happen to him? Xiao Bei explained his reason, because normally speaking, Ma Peng did not violate the law. Then what do you want to do? Li Longji asked. Let Ma Peng bring his wife here. But the world is so big. If there is no Ma Peng, there is still Zhang Peng, Li Peng, and Wang Peng. Don't tell me you want to catch everyone. Then give an order. No official is allowed to not have a wife. Then what if the official's wife is domineering and uses the order as an excuse to not do women's affairs? Can it be like this? Then I don't know what to do. I will go back to brother and sister. Xiao Bei couldn't think of a way and said dejectedly. Li Longji touched Xiao Bei's head again. Then go back first. Jin will give Ma Peng's position to other officials. Let him think about it, okay? Okay. Li Shi, go find Li Wang Liyin and let him come to Xingqing Palace after the morning court. As long as the members of the imperial family don't use their own power to promote other officials, Zhen will be lax. Our Xiao Bei did well. Zhen is relieved. I think that in the future, no matter if it is coercion or temptation, no one will be able to move Xiao Bei, right? Li Longji instructed Gao Li Shi, then turned his head to praise Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei smiled sweetly and nodded happily. That's right, that's right. I'm not afraid of being threatened, and I won't accept bribes from others. I have money, so I'm fine. I'll go back first and have a good talk with my father. Okay, don't forget to come and sing, Li Longji said seriously. Chapter 884. Xiao Bei couldn't solve the problem he caused. He was worried that Little Ma would be beaten. So he took Little Ma to Savant's restaurant to live temporarily and wait for his mother to come and take care of him. Little Ma knew that his father's official position had changed because of this convenient sister he met in the hibiscus garden, so he didn't blame Xiao Bei. For him, being able to see his mother was more important than his father becoming a higher official. Xiao Bei couldn't clean up the mess, but the officials in the court thought of various ways to deal with this matter. Whether it was to show goodwill to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, or to sincerely consider this problem, they used all kinds of methods to send memorials to the head of the secretariat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan discussed for a while and also wrote a memorial. They sent it to the head of the secretariat according to the usual procedure. In fact, it was similar to their method at that time. If an official wanted to be promoted and transferred to a better position, in addition to working ability and a good relationship with the higher-ups, he also had to ensure that nothing happened to his family during the operation. According to the current saying, if the chief family couldn't do it, how could they govern the country? Even if they didn't write a memorial, they still had to pay attention to this during the evaluation. For those officials who wanted to go further or keep their position, their family matters would also be used as a standard and basis for evaluation. As for the specific situation, it could only be analyzed in detail and the thoughts of others. It was estimated that after a period of time, it would form a unified rule that needed to be further improved. This time, Xiao Bei really caused a big problem. It directly affects human nature. I don't know what he would do next time. After Zhang Xiaobao sent the memorial he and Wang Wan sorted out, he wrote a memorial to request a return to the northern part of Hebei province. When he stopped writing, he looked at Xiao Bei and the others playing outside the window and said, Wang Wan also wrote a letter to return with Zhang Xiaobao. It wasn't that the two of them wanted to go back. They had to show the proper attitude. The provincial governor and deputy provincial governor didn't stay in their own places but always stayed in the capital. It was easy for people to guess and criticize. Wang Wan also stopped writing, gently dried the ink on the paper, folded it, and put it in the envelope. She asked, then let them be more obedient in the future and not go out to cause trouble. No, didn't you see Xiao Bei holding a summary meeting? She said that in the future, when you do things, you have to think carefully before you do anything. She emphasized that the person who started it had to be the one who perfected the system. Xiao Yuan even complained, saying that it was Xiao Bei who started it herself and insisted on dragging others to bear the responsibility with her. Aren't we still in a Cold War today? Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile as he looked at Xiao Bei, who had been ignoring Xiao Yuan and playing with others. Just spoil them. Yesterday, when your father came back, he was very angry. Look at what Xiao Bei and the others made of the morning court, who doesn't arrive in advance and only barge in when they're about to start their discussion. Wang Wan looked at her younger siblings outside and felt that they were more fortunate than she was when she was younger. They had a powerful older brother to help them settle everything. This was like her suddenly barging into a meeting when she was 6 years old. It was simply impossible. It's just that you didn't go at the right time. You didn't go wrong. All officials of the 5th rank and above can participate. Who doesn't have an age limit? In the future, remember to call me father. Don't you? I'm not engaged to you yet. I won't call you that. I won't call you that, Wang Wan said as she shook her head in Weiwei. Zhang Xiaobao stood up and walked out with a sullen face, looking like he was very angry. Wang Wan cooperated and asked, "Where are you going?" "To drink with the girls." "Oh, how many years has it been? I'm hearing this again." "Quickly go and find a beautiful girl. She has to be experienced and learn more. You can't lose face. In a while, I'll also go somewhere else and find a few handsome gigolos. Remember not to come back before midnight." Wang Wan waved her hand and showed a supportive attitude. Zhang Xiaobao walked out with his head held high. After less than a quarter of an hour, he hurriedly ran back and said to Wang Wan, who was dressing herself up in front of the mirror, "Let's go. Come with me to drink with the girls." "This is new. When you're doing that, you still want me to watch by the side. Let's change. You come with me." Wang Wan was unmoved. Something serious. "Yes, something serious like drinking with the girls. I just got the news that a Japanese man came and wanted to rent our gunships and steam engine ships. He said that it was to fight against the increasingly arrogant pirates. He's really well informed. He just made the decision, and before the ships were sent to the entrance of the Bohai Sea, he already knew. It seems that our spy system still needs to be improved. He found the people from the Ministry of Works. Let's go and have a look. I'm afraid that the people from the Ministry of Works will directly refuse. That won't do." Zhang Xiaobao walked a few steps behind Wang Wan, picked up the wooden comb, and began to comb Wang Wan's hair. Wang Wan sat in front of the mirror motionlessly and let Zhang Xiaobao comb her hair. "The Japanese have lost too many ships recently. The pirates you arranged are indeed rampant. Not only do the Japanese have a reaction, but our Tang Empire's ships are also afraid of being robbed. Do you plan to continue like this? On the left, there's a strand of hair on the left that hasn't been combed in. Others are right. Before you get it, men are always very considerate to women. I wonder if it will change in the future. No, I'll comb your hair for a lifetime and draw your eyebrows for you. Okay, I think it's about time. Let's go. Don't wait for them to finish drinking and listening to music. It'll be a big loss if we're late." Zhang Xiaobao took a step back and looked at her. This girl was quite beautiful, so he urged her to go. "You said a lifetime, but you can't wait to comb my hair for a while. Let's go. It seems that I have to test you again." Wang Wan put on the headdress and complained as she walked out with Zhang Xiaobao one after the other. The two just went out and didn't wait to sit in the carriage. They were heading towards the most luxurious brothel street in the capital. On the way from the Imperial Palace, a person hurriedly ran over. He went straight to the front of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said in a low voice, "Little young master, little miss, something has happened. Prince Li Yin was called by the emperor yesterday afternoon. When he returned to the mansion, he was well behaved and hasn't come out yet. However, many members of the imperial family who are still in the capital secretly contacted him and wanted to go to the palace to see the emperor. It seems that the matter has something to do with Xiaobei, and it will also mention the problem of our Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family being too powerful. Little young master, little miss, you should make early plans." "Oh, I know. Go and do your work. I'll think about it with Cuckoo." Zhang Xiaobao frowned slightly and let the person leave. He helped Wang Wan into the carriage and put down the curtain. He turned to look at Wang Wan and asked, "What do you think is going on?" Chapter 885. As the carriage gently bumped along the road, Zhang Xiaobao hugged Wang Wan and stared at the front of the carriage in a daze. After a while, he said, "Those who don't get anything and those who get little naturally feel unbalanced, but what can I do? Xiaobao, why don't the two of us go back? I don't want to get involved in this mess. Li Longji still has a lot of work to do, and if he doesn't make too big of a mistake and maintains a good attitude, those people who are waiting for him to abdicate will still have to wait." Wang Wan understood who was making trouble. Anyone who had a chance of ascending to that position would always want to do something behind the scenes. In this aspect, she and Xiaobao didn't need to worry about it. Presumably, Li Longji, who had more free time, already knew how to deal with it. Leaning her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder, Wang Wan added, "They're just lacking money. Ever since the Great Tang Bank was established, they couldn't interfere with the taxes of the various regions, and they couldn't interfere with the treasury of the capital. No matter what era it is, How can they do things without money? All of them want to work with us to make money and then use it in other areas, but we won't give them this chance. In the past, they couldn't find an excuse, but now that they have one, they won't put a little pressure on us. Let's go back. Let's go back to the 3 provinces of the Northeast. Li Longji won't favor them. Zhang Xiaobao nodded, but then he shook his head. We can't. If we really go back, Li Longji will think that we don't trust him and are afraid that he'll suddenly make trouble for us. We can't go back. Then what should we do? Just let them make trouble? Wang Wan raised the curtain on her side and stared blankly at the people walking on the sidewalk outside. They still have money. If they don't have money, they'll just obediently spend it in their own places and live frugally. How could they have the leisure to offend us? I've decided. Our family has a shortage of cash flow, so we'll stop giving some of the officials and members of the Imperial clan free of charge. In the past, it was to create a brand for them to use, eat, wear, and lead the use of our goods. Now that we've established a brand advantage, we won't give them any more. If they want to buy it themselves, they'll have to do it. At the same time, we'll have Between the Clouds and the Water introduce new products. If they like them and want them, they can buy them themselves. Don't treat me as a fool. I'm too busy and can't afford to be idle. Also, we'll stop the monthly cash coupons from the restaurants and supermarkets. We don't need them to bring other customers. Zhang Xiaobao leaned back in the carriage and narrowed his eyes as he spoke to Wang Wan. Wang Wan yawned and moved her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder. That's fine. We can also put on a show for Li Longji. Tell him that we don't care about his sons and relatives. Tell him that he doesn't need to worry about us getting involved. We can save some money this way. Xiao Bao, you can be more generous when you're drinking with girls in the future. When you see beautiful girls, give them more tips. Who knows, they might even use some tricks that they never use with others to serve you well. Wife, I have to praise you. What's that called again? It's just that you don't have wings. Then you'll understand everything in your heart. I was thinking the same. Today, we'll go and meet an acquaintance. You two have to get along well with each other in the future. You're like sisters. Don't make things difficult for me. Zhang Xiaobao turned his head and asked Wang Wan about the smell on her body as he continued to climb up the pole. Wang Wan moved her head away from Wei Wei and sent Zhang Xiaobao flying. She smiled seductively and said, Hubby, don't worry. I know that in the future, I and that girl will serve you together. If you think it's too little, you can find a few more. Everyone says that if a man wants to do that, his body must be strong and his waist must be strong. Let me see if hubby's waist is strong. Don't hide. I'm just touching. Hubby, don't hide. Let's talk about business. I think that the Japanese are very interesting. As long as there's an opportunity, they don't want to miss it. Don't you think so? I hate it when people pinch my waist. Let's talk business. I haven't pinched your waist yet. Don't pretend. The world is like this. No matter which country, as long as they haven't completely lost their opportunity, they will think of ways to obtain better benefits. Furthermore, Japan has always been diligent and eager to learn. The Japanese are also smart, especially when it comes to spiritual support. They're not inferior to the current Great Tang. Otherwise, with that small island, do you really think that it's because of geographical reasons that the country hasn't been destroyed? Many places that are more dangerous than them have also become the property of the colonists from other countries. You're not thinking of renting the steam engine ship and the gunship to them, are you? Wang Wan freed a hand and gently rubbed Zhang Xiaobao's waist. Feeling the strong muscles, her face suddenly turned red. Feeling the gentleness of Wang Wan's hand, Zhang Xiaobao relaxed. Looking at Wang Wan from the corner of his eyes, he asked in doubt, I don't know much about the matters between a husband and wife, but why do I feel that you know more than me? Where did you learn it? Who is as stupid as you? Don't you know that before a woman gets married, someone will teach her the matters between husband and wife? A man who has never been in contact with another woman is usually guided by the woman on the wedding night. There are also books and pictures. Wang Wan's face turned even redder. She buried herself in Zhang Xiaobao's arms and didn't come out. There's such a thing. If I had known, I wouldn't have eavesdropped. It made me angry. Tell me in detail so that I can supplement what I learned. I heard that the ancient people were very thorough in their research and had a lot of postures. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't know about this. Once it was mentioned, he became even more angry. Do you want me to do it for you again? Nod? You're nodding. We're here. We're here where you secretly learned. Get out of the car and let me see what's so good about the women in Peach Blossom Court. The name is pretty good. Peach Blossom of Light. Brilliant. Don't tell me you can take it home. Wang Wan straightened her clothes, rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao, and walked out of the door on her side. Zhang Xiaobao came down from the other side. He looked up at the signboard and nodded. I remember. I was here yesterday. How can I not remember? We're the Japanese. It's not good to go directly into someone's private room, right? Wang Wan had never been here before. She thought that it would be strange for a woman to come here. In the end, she found that she wasn't the only woman. There were also women who followed the men in, and then women who left with the men. The clothes of the women in the building were obvious at a glance. The women who didn't wear the same clothes were obviously from outside. They got along very well. As if he knew what Wang Wan was thinking, Zhang Xiaobao didn't rush in. He stood to the left of Wang Wan and introduced, I just found out not long ago. The women in brothels didn't just sell their bodies. Even if they sold their bodies, they didn't necessarily stay in the building. They could also accompany people out to play. For example, if 5 men went out and 3 of them brought their own female companions and 2 didn't, what should they do? In such a place, they could find 2 or more women to take out to make it more lively. The women in the brothels with a little background are not ordinary. They can't just spread their legs. They also need to know how to play zither, go, calligraphy, painting. They can talk about military affairs, and they can talk about politics. They can cook tea and wine, painting, archery, and horse riding. There's nothing they can't do. I know, I already knew. You don't need to tell me. Where are they? Wang Wan felt uncomfortable when she saw that the people coming and going kept looking at her. She pulled Zhang Xiaobao's sleeve and asked anxiously. In the hall. I don't know what they are thinking. It seems that they don't want people to see that they are doing anything sneaky. Come, follow me. I'm familiar with it. Zhang Xiaobao walked in front and freed one hand to pull Wang Wan inside. When they just arrived at the door, the waiter came out to greet them. Zhang Xiaobao casually threw a note with 100 coins written on it. Before the waiter could speak, he said first, Go, call Tao Tao, the one with the most beautiful voice who has served me well the last few times I came here. Yes, I'll arrange it right away. The waiter had a natural expression and seemed very friendly. Then he said in a very low voice, Young master, we don't have anyone called Tao Tao in this brothel. There are few with good voices. Why don't you change it to Miss Han Zue? The waiter was saving face. When he saw that Zhang Xiaobao brought a woman here, he couldn't guess what he meant. He probably wanted to tell this woman that he often came here, so he helped to cover it up. If it was someone else, he could cover it up. Unfortunately, he was speaking in the direction of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. His voice was low. Wang Wan couldn't hear it, but Wang Wan could see the movement of his lips. Aya. Zhang Xiaobao sighed and looked helplessly at the waiter. Just as he was about to speak, Wang Wan said, Husband, since I can't see Sister Tao Tao today, then I'll choose Hanze, okay. The sudden sound made Zhang Xiaobao quiver. The waiter was shocked. He looked carefully at Wang Wan and found that she was still a virgin. He couldn't understand the relationship between the two for a while. Zhang Xiaobao could only nod. Then I'll call you Han Zue. Remember, there are people in this world who can read lips. You have to have some professional attainments. In the future, when you encounter this kind of thing, regardless of whether there is Tao Tao or not, find a girl first and ask her to call Tao Tao at the last minute. I'll go find that Japanese person. I know. Thank you, young master. That Japanese person is called Takeshita Junichiro. He's with the people from the Ministry of Works. The waiter also felt embarrassed and added, You're wrong again. When he's on duty, he's from the Ministry of Works. After work, he's not. Today, he's on break, so it has nothing to do with the Ministry of Works. Do you understand? Zhang Xiaobao taught him again. Yes, I'll go find Miss Han Zue right away. The waiter agreed and hurriedly went to call her. Zhang Xiaobao pulled Wang Wan and walked inside to find the location of the Japanese person. Wang Wan was very generous just now, but now her footsteps became a little hesitant. Let's go. Don't worry, they won't take the opportunity to eat you. Zhang Xiaobao slowed down. They keep looking at me. Wang Wan lowered her head and replied embarrassedly. Who asked you to be so beautiful? If someone like you has a mature charm in the future, you won't be able to go out casually in the future. If others see you, it's easy to add to the burden of the hospital. If they keep staring at you, they'll hit the wall. After hearing Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao compared a little and suddenly found that his cuckoo was indeed more beautiful than others. It was just that she lacked a mature charm, but she was delicate and pretty. In the past, they were always together, so he was used to it. Therefore, he didn't feel it, so his hand tightened. Wang Wan felt pain from his grip. Why are you using so much strength? Can you still run away? It's nothing. When I was admiring the apricot flowers in the distance, I suddenly found that the peach blossoms beside me bloomed. They were delicate and beautiful. Oh, once you enter this place, you know how to talk. On the left, there's a person on the left who looks like a Japanese. The people from the Ministry of Works don't recognize him. Wang Wan plucked up her courage to look around and found a table full of people. Zhang Xiaobao heard and looked over. Sure enough, it was there. He led Wang Wan over. The position of the people from the Ministry of Works shouldn't be high. Otherwise, it was impossible for him not to recognize them. At this time, there were 8 people sitting there, 4 men and 4 women. The women were wearing clothes that were obviously from the Ministry of Works. They were drinking wine and chatting happily. Occasionally, one could see the women trembling with laughter. However, when he walked over and saw Takeshita Junichiro, he realized that he didn't have a happy expression on his face. Presumably, he hadn't achieved his goal. Wang Wan saw that the other girls were wearing less. After thinking for a while, she took off her outer coat and wrapped it around her arm. It was much cooler, revealing her delicate shoulders and fair neck, as well as the natural pearl necklace. For a moment, she was radiating light. It made Zhang Xiaobao have the urge to put her clothes back on. He couldn't let others see his own things. Among the women sitting at the same table as Takeshita Junichiro, there were 2 who happened to be facing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When they saw Wang Wan, they had an ashamed expression on their faces. It wasn't only because Wang Wan was beautiful, but more importantly, because Wang Wan was wearing a bright yellow dress. The yellow was alluring, the yellow was dazzling, and the yellow was full of wealth and status. Who would dare to wear bright yellow clothes? The 2 women were stunned for a moment. Takeshita Junichiro couldn't help but look over. When he saw Wang Wan, his eyes immediately lit up. He sat up straighter and leaned forward with Wei Wei, as if he wanted to stand up. Before he could stand up, 3 people from the Ministry of Works immediately stood up when they saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They stood there obediently, not daring to move. Zhang Xiaobao didn't know them, but they knew Zhang Xiaobao. The most important one was the eldest son of the Shangwan family. He had an outstanding status, and the other one was also not ordinary. The 3 people from the Ministry of Works were a little confused. They didn't know why the 2 powerful people of the Tang Empire would dress up as a golden boy and jade girl and come to the brothel today. The 3 people thought about it at the same time and felt that it was normal. Most of the things that the 2 people did were not normal. It was fine to get used to it. Could it be that they knew that the 3 of them were in contact with Takeshita Junichiro and came to catch them? When Takeshita Junichiro saw the 3 of them stand up, he also stood up. The 4 women were naturally no exception. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care what the others thought. He came closer with a smile, cupped his hands, and said, "Sit, sit, sit. I didn't expect to be fated to meet you here during this busy season. How have you been recently?" Only then did Takeshita Junichiro recognize who they were. He also had the portraits of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but he was dazzled by Wang Wan just now. After knowing the identity of the 2 people, he didn't dare to sit first. He also saluted and said, "Unexpectedly, it's Provincial Governor Zhang and Provincial Governor Wang. You 2 are." "It's nothing. It's nothing. I was bored at home, so I brought Kaiwan out to drink. Coincidentally, we met all of you. Fate, fate." Come, sit down, don't just stand there. If I had known that you would call 4 beautiful ladies, Kaiwan, and I wouldn't have called ourselves drunk. Zhang Xiaobao acted magnanimously. He first found a seat and wiped his face on it, then made way for Wang Wan. Only then did he accompany them. As soon as he sat down, a woman dressed in revealing but dignified clothes approached him from the side with a charming smile. She said, "Young master, this servant can't compare to the one beside you. But if you didn't ask this servant to come, this servant would also be sad. Don't talk nonsense." A person from the Ministry of Works next to them scolded, "This is the eldest son of the Minister of the Ministry of Works, Bohai Provincial Governor, young Master Zhang." "Ah, Zhang." Zhang Xiaobao. Hanze, who came over, didn't dare to speak like before. Previously, when she came over and saw Wang Wan, she was a little jealous. Now, she was much more obedient. She had always heard of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. She knew that one could make money, and the other could fight. However, she never would have thought that Wang Wan, who killed so many people that blood flowed like a river, would be so beautiful. She made people want to protect and touch her, but they didn't dare to blaspheme her. Wang Wan stood up and held Hanzue's hand, saying, "Sister Hanzue is right. Sister is such a beautiful person. Wouldn't it be a pity if I didn't see you? Today, I accompany the young master here to broaden my horizons. Sister doesn't need to be so polite." Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about Wang Wan's wife diplomacy. He picked up the wine that the woman beside him filled and said, "Since it's fate, why don't we drink together and have fun? Drink." As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao raised his head and downed the wine. The others naturally accompanied him. As for teasing and taking advantage of the woman, they didn't. With Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan around, who would dare to be impudent? Zhang Xiaobao didn't mention it, nor would he touch the woman beside him. He gestured for the wine to be poured and then picked it up. He faced Takeshita Junichiro alone and said, "Takeshita-kun, have you had a good time in the capital? I see that Takeshita-kun's complexion is a little pale. Is there anything that's troubling you? Let me hear it. It's a small matter, no problem." "Young Master Zhang, this matter." A person from the Ministry of Works wanted to explain, but Zhang Xiaobao glanced at him and he immediately shut up. Takeshita Junichiro hesitated, unsure of whether or not he should say it. Only when Zhang Xiaobao finished his wine did he clench his teeth and say, "Young Master Zhang, I heard that the Ministry of Works of the Tang Empire wants to build steam engine ships and rent them from the Bohai Sea. Recently, our ships have been harassed by pirates, so we want to rent a few steam engine ships and gunboats. But it involves the relevant technology, so the Ministry of Works is unable to make a decision. Every time I think of our people struggling to survive at sea, my heart feels like it's being cut by a knife. I wonder." "No problem. Takeshita-kun is talking about a small matter. I'll take care of it. Tomorrow, I'll go with Takeshita-kun to the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of War. I'll definitely let Takeshita-kun get what he wants." Without waiting for Takeshita Junichiro to finish, Zhang Xiaobao happily agreed. Chapter 886. Sometimes, it was very uncomfortable for people not to be believed by others. Zhang Xiaobao was currently in such a situation. Other than Wang Wan, who was chatting with a few girls beside her, who had a trusting expression, Takeshita Junichiro and the 3 people from the Ministry of Works were not willing to admit from the bottom of their hearts that Zhang Xiaobao really wanted to help Japan. "Takeshita-kun, what I said is the truth. You should believe me. Before coming, I did some research. The others were not willing to agree with you and had declined many times. Today's wine was on you, right?" Zhang Xiaobao looked sincerely at Takeshita Junichiro, then raised a full glass of wine and gestured for a toast. Before Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived, Takeshita Junichiro had already drunk a lot of wine with the 3 people from the Ministry of Works. Although the wine did not feel too strong when he drank it, and it was still sweet, the after-effects were still there. After drinking 2 glasses in a row, the wine he drank earlier had already begun to take effect, especially when he was trying to guess the truth of Zhang Xiaobao's words. Takeshita Junichiro felt sleepy. His eyes were half closed, one hand holding the glass, the other pinching his thigh. He gritted his teeth and poured the wine in his throat, then flipped it up and forced himself not to spit it out. His eyes were red from holding it in. Wei Wei's hands were trembling. He picked up a cold cucumber with his chopsticks and stuffed it into his mouth. After suppressing it, he let out a sigh of relief. He raised his head and looked at Zhang Xiaobao, who was looking over with concern, and said, "It's fine. I think they have their difficulties." Takeshita Junichiro did not dare to say anything that would offend the people from the Ministry of Works. In order to express his thoughts, he even smiled at the 3 people from the Ministry of Works. The 3 people from the Ministry of Works did not have the leisure to care about Takeshita Junichiro. Their thoughts were all on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Today, they realized for the first time that Wang Wan was so beautiful. She had a figure, appearance, and temperament. No matter how they looked at her, she did not look like a person who would kill people like flies. As for Zhang Xiaobao, he seemed to have deliberately dressed up today, attracting the glances of the nearby girls from time to time, but no one dared to approach and speak. The 3 people from the Ministry of Works were led by a director, who was an official like Li Bai, a 6th-ranked official. He and the other 2 sat there obediently and accompanied them. When Zhang Xiaobao raised his cup, they drank with him. They were not that afraid of Zhang Zhong. Even if Zhang Zhong was the Minister of Works, they could always find someone to replace him. What they were afraid of was Xiaobei. They were worried that they would offend Zhang Xiaobao with their words. Zhang Xiaobao and Li Bai were magnanimous, but Xiaobei would be unreasonable if she found out. Zhang Xiaobao pursed his lips and thought for a while, then said, "Indeed, the matter is a little too big. Normal people wouldn't dare to agree, but since I've met you, and based on the friendly relationship between Japan and the Great Tang, I have to help. How many steamships and gunboats does Takeshita want to rent?" Young Master Zhang, I was just thinking about it abruptly and haven't confirmed it yet. I'll go back and find someone to discuss it before I can get a specific number. Perhaps I won't rent them in the end. Takeshita Junichiro really didn't dare to agree. If it were someone else, not Zhang Xiaobao, he would have agreed happily. Of course, the more boats that could be rented, the better. When facing Zhang Xiaobao, he thought of Yamamoto, the Mountain Temple, and the Windy Bridge. The 3 of them had great ambitions when they came to the Great Tang. In the end, they met Zhang Xiaobao, and all of them were defeated, especially Windy Bridge Shoji. No matter how they thought about it, they couldn't think of a way to break it. How was the structure? They had lost everything. That was sulfur and silver worth 1,000,000 strings of coins. Now, the price of garlic was still stable, and the garlic sprouts were selling well. There was also the sweet garlic. If Xinlua joined in the fun, who knew how much they would lose in the end? It's right to go back and find more people to think about it. We mustn't blindly rent steamships and gunboats, especially gunboats. When the time comes, even if we rent them, we won't let others board them. It's just a form of employment to help in battle. It costs a lot of money, the distance it takes to sail, the difficulty of resupplying, and the wear and tear of the cannons and shells when firing the cannons. Zhang Xiaobao agreed. He turned his head and instructed the 3 people from the Ministry of Works. In the future, don't always think about keeping the Ministry of Works a secret. When it's time to keep it a secret, keep it a secret. When it's time to make money, make money. If you want to go out and seek new development, if someone comes looking for you, you can take it to the Ministry of Works for everyone to study. It's the same no matter who you rent it to. There's no difference between renting it to Xinlua in Japan, but as long as it's rented, it can only be rented to one side to prevent our ships from being damaged when there's friction at sea. Especially for gunboats, we can't rent to both sides. Otherwise, wouldn't others pay for it, and we kill each other? The 3 people nodded in unison. Zhang Xiaobao didn't persuade others to drink anymore. He finished the wine himself, stood up, and politely smiled at Takeshita Junichiro. Then he said to Wang Wan, "Cuckoo, let's go back. Oh, Sister Han Zue, let's talk when we have time. Remember not to use the new perfume released by the Shueiyun group casually. Everyone's skin is different. You have to choose the right one. The expensive ones might not be good for you." Wang Wan nodded and reluctantly explained the choice of a new perfume to Han Zue. She even asked Han Zue to ask about the jasmine fragrance on her body. Only then did she hold Zhang Xiaobao's arm and walk out under the starry gazes of the girls. After walking for about 10 steps, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly turned around and said to the 3 people from the Ministry of Works, "I just thought of something. The Ministry of Works can develop a few small electrical appliances suitable for navigation. It just so happens that we can use the steam engine ships to generate electricity. It's best to set up a separate department and find merchants from Tang to discuss the matter of renting. Let them travel further and bring back more valuable goods." "Young Master Zhang, don't worry. We'll remember it." The director of the Ministry of Works stood up and nodded vigorously as he sent them off. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walked out, the director said to Takeshita Junichiro, "It's getting late. The 3 of us should go back. We'll talk again next time when we have the chance." After saying that, the 3 of them also left. Takeshita Junichiro sat there, confused and distressed. The matter that he had been begging for but couldn't get was suddenly presented to him. He didn't dare to accept. What did Zhang Xiaobao mean by this? Wang Wan, who had just left, was also puzzled. She boarded the carriage, and while making tea for Zhang Xiaobao, she asked, "Xiaobao, tell me directly. Those who know you won't agree. I'm afraid. What do you plan to do? Let me kiss you, and I'll tell you." Zhang Xiaobao leaned over with a smile. "Your breath reeks of alcohol." "No." Wang Wan dodged to the side. "Then don't tell me. Count the moon yourself at night. Then I'll tell you in detail at night. Tell me one thing first." Chapter 887. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went to Peach Blossom Court, while Zhang Wang went to Peach Blossom Court. It was unknown who had a loose mouth, but not long after Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned to Savant's restaurant, the news spread like wildfire. Even Xiaobei knew about it. She brought a large group to find her brother and sister, looking like she was very angry that they didn't bring her along. Wang Wan couldn't care less about the smell of wine on her face from Zhang Xiaobao's forceful kisses along the way. After settling her brother and sister, she sat beside Zhang Xiaobao, who was leaning against the head of the bed. She glanced at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Are you doing this on purpose? Are you trying to ruin my reputation?" Communication is not developed yet, but the news spread so quickly. If it were us back then, I reckon the other side of the world would know. "You can't speak carelessly. How am I ruining your reputation?" "You're ruining my reputation if you go alone. If we go together, that's romantic. How many men have you seen bringing their wives or future wives to a brothel?" Zhang Xiaobao naturally reached out and hugged Wang Wan. Like a little boy who was in love for the first time, he wanted to stick together whenever he had time. Who asked him to lack experience in this aspect? Go if Xiaobei and the others come in and see it, they'll learn. I think Xiao Yuan always wants to hug Xiaobei when he sleeps. Don't talk nonsense. Is Peach Blossom Court a brothel? Is it just a simple brothel? It's cleaner than the entertainment circle of our time, and the girls are more capable. Are you really not going to talk to the Imperial clan? Are you going to be stubborn to the end? Wang Wan pulled a giant panda pillow between the 2 of them and said faintly. Zhang Xiaobao flipped over and pressed himself against the wall. He felt around under the pillow beside him, as if he was looking for something. What does a child know? Don't look at a child with the mindset of an adult. There's no need to care about the Imperial clan. Let them make a ruckus while it's still early. Once they've made a ruckus, they'll be well behaved. Just like a volcano, an erupting volcano isn't that dangerous. What's worse is that it keeps accumulating strength. Now that you mention it, I suddenly thought of something. If the 2 of us go to Peach Blossom Court to compensate, then Peach Blossom Court's reputation will definitely soar. We should give them a heads up before we go. That way, we will have some sort of celebrity effect. As for what others say, it's up to them to say. Am I not allowed to get close to my wife and have some fun? Maybe tomorrow I'll bring you to a mountain and sing a love song on the other side. Who cares? Don't you agree? Preposterous reasoning. Based on what you've said, we're all public figures and have to be careful, especially when it comes to moral character. Don't let others find fault with us, especially when it comes to someone like you, who has always been acknowledged by the great Tang as a very formidable merchant. Everyone knows that you have excellent moral character, and if something happens to you, it will affect the beliefs of others. What are you looking for? Wang Wan held down Zhang Xiaobao's hand. I'm looking for your comic. Didn't you say you had pictures? Let me take a look as well. I've never intended to be someone's idol. Besides, what I do has nothing to do with moral character. Don't always say that merchants are bad. Merchants are still worried that the consumers won't approve of them and they won't be able to sell their goods. They have to explain themselves when they encounter problems. If a merchant doesn't respect moral character, then it's all fake. People like me don't even bother to fake. But if an official's moral character is bad, then he'll lie with his eyes wide open. He knows that the people know what he's doing, but he won't admit it. What can you do? You've harmed several generations of people. Where did you put it? Did you match it with color? Is it an abstract drawing or a portrait? Zhang Xiaobao searched for a long time, but to no avail. He stopped and took Wang Wan's hand. Wang Wan helplessly glanced at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "There's no drawing. My mother told me, and the maidservants in the inner courtyard also mentioned it occasionally. Haven't you realized that you've been thinking about this recently? As a man, you have to put your career first." Li Longji said in the morning court that he would hold an imperial examination for you. I also plan to participate, but there's only one top scorer. What should I do? Wang Wan originally planned to go back to Jili province with Zhang Xiaobao to see how the new crops were growing. Even if it was the imperial examination, they could still hurry back. But now that the imperial clan was causing trouble, they naturally couldn't go back. Wouldn't it be showing weakness if they went back? Thinking of the imperial examination in autumn, she also wanted to participate. She didn't know what Li Longji would do. It could be considered as giving Li Longji a difficult problem. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care and said, "I'll give you the top scorer. I'm a bit worse than you." "Indeed, I'm a bit worse than you, especially in the literary field. Why don't I take the military examination? You're in the literary field, I'm in the martial field. People these days are all stupid and easy to bully. Come closer, let me think in that direction. If you agree, won't I stop thinking about it? What's the difference if you insist on waiting for the engagement? The difference is big. The easier it is to get something, the less you know how to cherish it. People these days aren't stupid, but they lack experience. Their learning ability is still very strong. Look at so many craftsmen. I can't even participate in the experiments they're doing now. Look at the people in finance. As long as you give them a little opportunity to learn, they will immediately learn and draw inferences. It's just that this is the era of imperial power, and the policies aren't so loose. There's still you to suppress them. Otherwise, look at the merchants of the Great Tang. I guarantee that they will show you what an economic crisis is. Go, don't squeeze me. It's so hot. Instead of discussing with me, why don't you urge the people from the Ministry of Rights to hurry up? Wang Wan said no, but her body didn't move. She let Zhang Xiaobao hug her. The corners of her mouth curled up as she enjoyed this moment of tenderness. Zhang Xiaobao gritted his teeth. Okay, I understand. The easier it is, the less you know how to cherish it. I can't let Xinluo and Japan have it so easy. I have to grind them down. If they don't pay a certain price, I'm not in a hurry to let them suffer a big loss. You're using others as a punching bag again. What kind of person are you? Let's go and eat. Next time, drink less wine. You're likely bi. Wang Wan broke free and stood by the bed, waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to come down and eat together. Li Bai has already controlled his drinking. Okay, he still wants to see me, but I didn't. The easier it is for me to drag him along, the less he knows how to cherish it. I remember now. Li Sun, that old man who has never married, must have been in contact with many women. He has a lot of information. I'll send him a telegram and ask him for a picture. I'll eat something light today. I've been very angry recently. Zhang Xiaobao rearranged a messy pillow and got off the bed. He spoke as he walked. You want the world to know that you're prepared before you do that with me, right? Why don't I find you a beautiful maid in the inner courtyard so you could try it first? She can help you cool down so you don't get sick again. No, I'm not angry anymore. I'll go to Yang Zhongchang's house tonight and bring some ginseng or something. The Ministry of Rights has been busy recently, so he needs to take care of himself. Under Zhang Xiaobao's urging, the Ministry of Rites quickly started to work. They followed the civil etiquette, but were guided by the imperial court. First was the acceptance ceremony, which was to propose marriage. Originally, the Zhang family was going to find a matchmaker themselves, but now they didn't need to. They found a matchmaker in his name and went to Wang Wan's house. At first, they wanted to find a famous matchmaker in the capital, but this matter was taken over by Empress Wang. Empress Wang led her team out of the palace and went all the way to Wang Wan's house to act as a matchmaker. Not to mention that the Zhang family and Wang Wan had long recognized that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were a couple. Even if they didn't know each other before, they didn't dare to object now. The members of the imperial family, who were still making trouble, also stopped their actions for a while. Among them, Shui Yun and Hong Wan also helped. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan always thought that Shui Yun, who was psychic, was going to have a baby, so they had to establish a good relationship first so that the baby wouldn't be hurt when it fell from the sky in the future. Shui Yun and her husband helped catch a pair of live geese, but they didn't use birds and geese to replace the geese that others couldn't catch. After this trip, the whole capital was in an uproar. Some were envious, some were congratulating, and some were criticizing. Most of them were from the imperial family, and the news quickly spread through Great Tang through telegrams. According to the information Li Longji received, all of Lu Zhou's businesses were closed for a day. For this celebration, 50,000 people gathered on the banks of the Yangtze River in Shuzhou and knelt down. The merchants of Jianan Circuit joined forces and held banquets for the people in different places. Needless to say, in Jili province, every family set off firecrackers. In short, as long as it was a place related to the Zhang family and the Wang family, all kinds of ceremonies were held. In Sanshui County, everyone wore new clothes and hung lanterns in every house. In the end, it developed to the point where everyone deposited a copper coin in the Great Tang Bank as a wedding gift for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When the time came, the money would be transferred to their accounts together. Merchants from all over the country took action one after another, offering discounts and lowering prices. Up and down the Yellow River, north and south of the Great River, there was nothing they couldn't do. Li Longji purposely gathered the members of the imperial clan who had come over to complain and cause trouble behind the scenes. He directly threw the intelligence report in front of them for them to see and feel the extent of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's influence. The members of the imperial family were indignant. They tried to stir up trouble in front of Li Longji, saying that the Zhang family and the Wang family were rebelling. When they saw Li Longji not responding, they could only endure it and wait for another opportunity. Just a single coin was enough to shake the entire Great Tang. Everyone was looking forward to the day of the wedding. After the coin ceremony, it was time to ask for the names and the dates of birth. This was simple, not to mention that two people were born in the same year, same month, and same day. There was not much difference in the time. Even if there was a problem, they had to find a way to get rid of it. After two more procedures, it was time to receive the coin ceremony that Zhang Xiaobao was looking forward to. After this, it was considered an engagement. He could count the stars with Wang Wan. As for the time and date of the wedding, it would take a few years. He was not in a hurry to get married. The coin ceremony was for the betrothal gift. This was troublesome. Many people gathered in the capital to see what kind of gift the Zhang family would give to the Wang family. Zhang Xiaobao began to worry before he gave the betrothal gift. He did not want to eat or drink. Wang Wan came to persuade him personally. Xiaobao, eat more. Don't lose weight. When you count the stars and don't have the strength, don't blame me for kicking you out of bed. Wang Wan deliberately said sweet nothings between the two of them to make Zhang Xiaobao eat more. I'll eat. What do you think I should give you? I have to put on a show. I can't let you suffer. But I want to put on a show for a while. I just found that the canal is so narrow and the road in Chang and is not wide enough. If I had known, I would have spent more money to fix it. I can pay for it myself. Zhang Xiaobao frowned and stared at the bowl. In order to let Zhang Xiaobao eat more, Wang Wan cooked the boiled fish. The spicy smell was appetizing, but Zhang Xiaobao still had no appetite. What do you want to get to my family? Tell me, and I'll give you some advice, so you don't have to worry about it. In fact, I don't need much. You could just give me yours. As long as my Xiao Bao stands there, you can equal half the country. To be able to share your pride is the happiest thing for me. Wang wanted to become much gentler during this period of time. At night, she would even cooperate with Zhang Xiaobao to kiss and touch him. She didn't know if every woman would be like this at this time. Her mind was filled with thoughts of the other party all day long. Excitement, anticipation, and a little fear. Zhang Xiaobao took a deep breath and lowered his head to eat. After a few mouthfuls, he stopped and looked up at Wang Wan and said, I want to give you 1,000 sails, 1,000 years of beauty, 3,000 medical books, no cold in spring, 10,000 snow lotuses, no heat in summer, a garden of hundreds of millions of grass, a dancing autumn skirt, a mountain in a province, and a winter snow. Chapter 888. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Wang Wan, who had just served him food, suddenly lowered her head and didn't say anything. Is it too little? Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and asked. Wang Wan still didn't look up, but Wei Wei swayed her hair. Wash a few more times tonight. Wash what? Wash your stinky body. That won't do. After I deliver the things, it's fine if the canal is narrow. I'll adjust it. The streets of Chang and are not wide enough. I'll ask them not to go out first and walk around the house. I'll definitely solve this problem. After the engagement, Hey, where are you going? I'm going to find a doctor. You're seriously ill. In the eyes of others, the Zhang family and the Wang family should be the most straightforward step. They were rich, so they could just throw out a pile of paper money with 10,000 written on it. It was enough to show off their extravagance. Who would have thought that the simplest step would cause problems for Zhang Xiaobao? It dragged on for half a month. He took Xiaobei and the others almost every day, leaving Wang Wan at home and going to the palace to cook for Li Longji. Many people secretly inquired about what the Zhang family, or to be precise, Zhang Xiaobao, was doing. For a while, the members of the imperial clan, who had calmed down, began to be restless again. They thought that Zhang Xiaobao didn't dare to accept the engagement easily because of their pressure, so they secretly colluded and planned to wait for the engagement to cause trouble for the Zhang family and the Wang family. They understood that the emperor was not willing to deal with the Zhang family and the Wang family for them. Similarly, he wouldn't do anything to them because of the Zhang family and the Wang family. He wanted to keep the well water in the river water and not help either side. Just like this, a month had passed. Some of the crops brought back from America had already borne seeds. The members of the imperial clan didn't wait for Na Zheng to make trouble. Instead, they first waited for some seeds to be sent to the capital by Shui Yun and Hong Wan. They didn't get a share of the seeds. That day, no one who participated in the complaint was given a single seed. Along with the seeds, there was also a kind of hat. To be precise, it was a scarf. After all, the hair was long, and it was inconvenient to wear a hat. It looked like a hoop with a hole in the front. A very small electric fan was installed inside the hoop. It was equipped with 4 batteries and could run for 6 to 10 hours. In the middle of summer, if one wore it on their head and blew on it, they would at least enjoy it more than others, regardless of whether it was cool or not. This was a symbol of status. Similarly, no one from the imperial clan filed a complaint. The other officials in the capital who were 5th rank and above each had their names engraved on them, showing how important they were to the Zhang family and the Wang family. The adults could still bear it and acted as if nothing had happened. However, 2 days later, another toy for the children appeared. This wasn't surprising. Usually, people would use soap water and small circles to blow bubbles. However, the difference was that this bubble-blowing toy didn't need a person to blow it. It was like a pistol and had a fan behind it. When the trigger was pressed, bubbles would fly out one after another, displaying gorgeous colors under the sun. The children of the imperial clan who had filed a complaint watched the other children play with one in each hand. They either fought over it or asked for it. This caused countless disputes. Even if they managed to snatch it and could play with it, it wasn't given by the Zhang family and the Wang family. This made the adults lose face and feel uncomfortable. At this time, they realized that they were used to using the free things given by the Zhang family and the Wang family. They didn't think much of it, but now that they were angry and didn't give it to them, they lost more than just the things. It was said that after a period of time, the chili peppers from Jili Prefecture with the seeds removed would also arrive in the capital. At that time, they naturally wouldn't be sold. The quantity was still small, so they would definitely be distributed to the various officials. They invited each other to go out to play, eat, and have a barbecue. How elegant would the person who had chili sprinkle it lightly on the barbecued food? Li Shi, I just realized that the things given by the Xiao Bao and Cuckoo families represent their status. No wonder they sell so well. Once you're used to using them in the same circle, you'll feel embarrassed if you don't have anything new. Don't you think so? In the hibiscus garden, Li Longji sat at the table and tasted the spicy diced chicken that Zhang Xiaobao had just made. He was talking to Gao Li Shi, who was serving beside him. Gao Li Shi's mouth was also not idle. If it wasn't for the fact that there was no Qingyuan garden in the hibiscus garden, he was afraid that there would occasionally be officials with high status coming to see the emperor. If it was in the past, he would definitely have a Qingyuan garden. Now, the weapons used by the people he protected were different, so this step was skipped. He listened to the emperor's words and ate the jianbing fruit that his godson had prepared for him. He also put a lot of chili peppers in it. He slurped the chili peppers and nodded vigorously until he swallowed the food in his mouth. He then replied, "Just as your majesty said, after a while, the other crops will also be ready. This official also plans to hold a banquet for them to taste. By next year, there will be more people who can eat it. The production will be higher than rice and noodles. You have a good son, so you naturally don't have to worry. Xiao Bao, rest a bit. That's enough. I promised you to send an army into the city. I also want to see how powerful the army you sent to Cuckoo is. You spent your own money to encircle the lake, and I'll send you the mountain as a gift. I'm looking forward to it. I've never heard of a family giving away such things during an election. I can't imagine what kind of scene it will be. Cuckoo didn't marry the wrong man. I reckon that you didn't have enough time to prepare. Otherwise, wouldn't you have moved the mountain and lake here?" Li Longji also liked the spicy food, but he didn't dare to drink water. He was afraid that his stomach would be full, and he wouldn't be able to eat anything else. He wiped his snot from the spicy food and said to Zhang Xiaobao, who was still flipping through the big ladle, "All right, that's enough. The last dish, green beans with corn." Zhang Xiaobao hooked the corns and replied when he was about to take the pot out of the pot. The reason why he had been cooking for Li Longji for so many days was because he wanted to bring the things he prepared for Wang Wan to the capital. Everything else was fine. No one would object if he used the money and the silk, but there were still a few steps that required Li Longji's approval. For example, bringing the army under Wang Wan's command into the capital or borrowing the city walls of the capital. He wanted to give the best to Wang Wan. Other than spending a lot of money, he also had to put in a lot of effort. At the same time, it would also cause a disturbance to the people. Even so, he felt that it was worth it. After the last dish was brought to the table, Zhang Xiaobao also took a jianbing fruit for himself and sat down to eat. Li Longji scooped up the fruit with a spoon and tasted it. He nodded and said, "It's delicious. Xiao Bao, you said that some people can taste it, while others can't. It's fine if they're of low status, but if they're of high status, they're always coming to complain to me. It's hard for me to do anything. Shouldn't I give them what they deserve?" Chapter 889. On this day, in the middle of summer, the sky was high and the clouds were light. The streets of the capital city of Chang were livelier than usual. The merchants who came to the capital had finished their business but did not leave. They deliberately stayed for a while just to see the scene today. What kind of gift would the Zhang clan give to the Wang clan during the recruitment had become the most anticipated thing for those who received the news. They really wanted to know how much the Zhang clan, whose wealth rivaled that of a nation, could give. Zhang Xiaobao had been preparing for a period of time recently. Plus, the stall that he had set up in the past was now in operation. Today, he did not look for Li Longji to cook for him. He had already reached an agreement with Li Longji. Today, he could use any place he wanted, including the city walls of Chang'an. In the palace, Li Longji was dressing up. To be precise, he was putting on makeup. He also wanted to see what kind of scene Zhang Xiaobao could create. After eating for more than a month, he only knew that Zhang Xiaobao wanted to transfer troops to the capital from Tubo. Along the way, he had already received news that a large number of troops under the banner of the Zhang family had moved out a month ago. They quickly rode to the capital and were stationed outside the capital city 6 days ago. Originally, the 10,000 Cavalry Battalion also wanted to go and take a look, but they were stopped by Li Longji. Only the Jinwu guards, who were responsible for protecting the palace, were prepared and looked very worried. As for Zhang Xiaobao's unwillingness to give anything to the members of the imperial clan who complained, Li Longji did not force him. Some of the members of the imperial clan were still unwilling to give up. This was a good opportunity for them to see how strong Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's foundation was. This would make them more obedient and not look for trouble. Under everyone's expectations, when Wang Wan returned to her home and waited, Zhang Xiaobao finally began to move. At 5 in the morning, the Qixia gate of the capital was guarded by the Zhang family. No one in the city was allowed to pass through this gate. Some distance away, the big wild goose tower was full of people. Each of them was of noble status and held binoculars in their hands. They just happened to be looking at the road through the Qixia gate. As the sound of the gong rang out, everyone immediately focused their attention and looked in that direction without blinking. The Zhang family slowly appeared at the door. In front of them was a raised banner, and behind them were 2 cars. The banner on the cars had the word medicine written on it. This was the 3,000 volumes of medical skills that Zhang Xiaobao had promised to give to Wang Wan. The 2 chariots continued to move forward for a distance of 300 meters. Surprisingly, no one else appeared behind them. This caused endless disappointment to appear on the faces of the onlookers. Only 2 cars? The Zhang family's Na Zheng sent 2 carts of gifts? A person standing behind the others retracted his long neck and muttered regretfully. The person in front of him felt hot and moved slightly. Without turning his head, he said, "Maybe it's 2 carts of banknotes, each worth 1 million. How much do you think it is?" Although he said so, he also felt very disappointed. It was not as good as a family with a little bit of money. Even an ordinary family in the capital would not only have such a small team. They had to show off their extravagance. Otherwise, who would know what they had sent? As soon as his voice fell, before others could echo, another team appeared at the Qixia gate. They were also carrying banknotes and sounding gongs. This time, there were a few more cars, a total of 20. The banner on the cars had the word Snow Lotus written on it. It was the 10,000 snow lotuses that Zhang Xiaobao had promised to give to Wang Wan. However, they could not keep them in full bloom. They were made into dried medicinal materials and put in the cars. I know, snow lotuses. 20 carts of snow lotuses. The one in front should be the medical skills. Look what's behind. A person with faster reaction shouted first. His voice was not too loud, but it was enough for the people on the tower to hear clearly. Not long after, another team appeared. However, this time, there were not as many cars. Only a few people worked together to lift a large cloth. There was a picture on the cloth that looked like a certain place. There were also words on it. People who were close to the street could clearly see that the words written on it were Luoyang e-garden. Looking at the flowers on the picture, they were all peonies. Exclamations of surprise came from both sides of the street. As long as one was not a fool, they could guess what it meant. There was definitely a large garden with countless peonies around Luoyang. It could not be brought over, so it was painted on the cloth. If the medical skills in snow lotuses were said to be very ordinary, at least they would not be so shocked if they did not see 10,000 snow lotuses. However, knowing that there was such a large garden, the feeling was different. The land in Luoyang was not cheap. To be able to buy such a large garden, if they could have a smaller one, their life would not have been in vain. Before the exclamations of surprise died down, a 4th team appeared. This time, it was not a matter of a few cars. One car after another followed the road to the Wang family's location. Everyone watched. The cars in front had already become small dots, and the cars behind had not finished moving. The cars were not covered with any blindfolds, only ropes. The cars were all brocades. Usually, people would send some coarse cloth and carry it on their shoulders. It was not bad to carry a few loads. The Zhang family actually sent so many at once. If all of them were unloaded and piled together, it would probably form a mountain. Li Longji also found a good spot in the hot air balloon. Under the protection of others, he looked towards the entrance. After seeing the team, he said to Gao Lishi, Empress Wang, and Wu Huifei beside him, "It is said that Xiao Bao told Cuckoo, a brocade boat with 1,000 sails, 1,000 years of beauty, 3,000 volumes of medical books, no cold in spring, 10,000 snow lotuses, no heat in summer, a garden of hundreds of millions of grass, an autumn skirt dancing gracefully like a mountain, a province, and winter snow. Now, it seems that this is a mountain of silk. Fly forward. I want to see the Chao Canal." With the order, a few hot air balloons began to move forward. There were also people below to protect them. At this moment, both sides of the Chao Canal were filled with people. They did not know that Zhang Xiaobao would send boats, but they believed that if they wanted to transport more things, they had to go by water. Without waiting for Li Longji's hot air balloon to fly above the Chao Canal, shadows of sails appeared from the east. Using the wind blowing from the west, they quickly approached. Boats, boats, many boats. On the shore, a sharp-eyed child was raised high above the adults' heads. He happened to see the shadows of the sails and shouted loudly. Everyone looked over, and as expected, sails appeared in their field of vision. No one could count how many boats there were, but they knew that there were many, many. "Your Majesty, they're all flower boats. There are no gunships." Gao Lishi did not count, but according to what Zhang Xiaobao had said, he knew that there were 1,000 flower boats. On them, colorful flags fluttered, and each boat was wrapped in brocade. Seeing that there were no cannons, he said to Li Longji with relief, "I saw it. It's not like we're attacking the capital. Why would we send gunships? Lishi, do you think that 1,000 flower boats will be able to win if they suddenly encounter 2,000 armed boats from Xinluo or Japan?" Li Longji first explained the reason why they did not send gunships. Then he asked a question out of the blue. Gao Lishi was stunned for a moment. Then he shook his head and replied, "Your Majesty, I feel that even if there are 10,000 boats from the two countries, if they really want to fight, there won't be many left intact in the end. I feel that those boats should have some defensive means." "Yes, a little." "A little? Yes." "Then let's continue watching. I want to see how big of a spectacle Zhang Xiaobao can put on. Sigh, I don't think I can compare to it when I get married. Perhaps it will be about the same as when I'm on Mount Tai." Li Longji knew that what he saw was only the beginning. Otherwise, Zhang Xiaobao would not have cooked for more than a month continuously. It was so tiring to cook a different dish every day. If it was just a small army, it would not make sense. The others did not understand it, as well as Li Longji. The people watching from shore stared straight at the boats that were getting closer and closer. Their hearts were filled with shock. This was especially so for the unmarried women. Their eyes were filled with little stars. They fantasized about whether they would also have such a team to show off their strength on the day of their wedding. The men who were about to get married had ugly expressions. For example, if the family of a wealthy person did not have the gift from Zhang Xiaobao, they would have taken out a bit of money to put on a show. But now they understood that no matter how grand the wedding ceremony was, it could not compare to this, so the family of the bride would not be so happy. At this time, the people on the Wild Goose Tower could not see the specific situation on the canal. They could only see the shadows of the sails and could not guess whether the boats were carrying any goods. Amazing! The Zhang family of Sanshui is indeed extraordinary. They can actually put on such a grand spectacle. I have seen it in my life. A person who thought that it would be over put down his binoculars and said with emotion. Hearing this, the people around nodded. Not to mention the mountain of silk, just the countless boats were not something that an ordinary wealthy family could take out. Even if it was the marriage of a prince or other tycoons who could mobilize so many boats, it was impossible for them to put down their business and come here. It seemed that other than the Zhang family, no one else had the leisure to do so. Just when many people thought that the Zhang family's wedding ceremony was coming to an end, the Qixia Gate was stable. The boats on the water stopped there, but the other gates moved. On the street not far from Xingqing Palace, the people who did not see the scene at the Qixia Gate were regretting that they did not see the scene at the Qixia Gate. Then, the Chunming Gate next to it moved. 6 teams of people rushed out, each carrying a big roller. A dozen people carried one roller. After they went out of the Chunming Gate, they began to run close to the city wall. As they ran, they released the thread. The golden thread was so dazzling under the sunlight. Every 10 feet or so, someone would nail twice on the city wall and then let the golden thread hang on it. Behind them, there was a team of people holding small lanterns. When opened, they were the size of a palm. One by one, they began to hang the lanterns on the golden thread. Gold. That's gold. Some craftsmen who specialized in making jewelry did not need to get close. They only needed to stand a little further away to judge what it was by seeing the reflection of the golden thread. Gold? What are they going to do by turning the gold into money? Someone could not figure it out and asked loudly in the noisy crowd. The 6 groups of people continued to run. Their speed was not too fast. It seemed that they were prepared for a long-distance run. As a result, some of the people who were still alive began to pant rapidly. They looked at the 6 groups with frightened eyes and said in a trembling voice, "No, don't. Danton." The people nearby heard this and looked at the posture of the 6 teams. They could not help but start to think in this direction. How much gold is needed to circle one circle? Look at the lanterns. Hanging on the lanterns is to let people know the thickness of the golden thread. If it's too thin, it won't be able to hang the lanterns at all. Rich, really rich. When my daughter gets married in the future, I'll be satisfied with just one circle of silver thread. It won't be 6 circles, a man in his 20s said blankly with a little girl in his arms. It's gold. It's gold. The girl did not agree. She clenched her little fists and waved them there, which made the people around laugh. At this time, Wang Wan was at home. She was indeed in the hot air balloon above the house. She was also holding a telescope to watch. After Zhang Xiaobao told her what he would give to her family that day, he went off to do his own work. She really did not know to what extent Zhang Xiaobao could do. The first 5 were there, and the rest were the ones in the number poem. At a glance, it was clear that the golden thread was the one that circled the city 6 times. There were still many more. "Girl, how much does it cost?" Wang Wan's mother accompanied her and asked her daughter. Wang Wan and Wei Wei shook their heads. "Mother, I don't know. Xiaobao did it himself. When the time comes, I'll ask him. He only knows how to do these things in pursuit of fame." Wang Wan said that she did not care and meant to belittle, but her usual calmness could not be seen on her face. She was so excited that her ears were red. Her eyes were watery as she looked at the hot air balloon floating above the Joy residence. It seemed that water would drip out of her eyes at any moment. How could Wang Wan's mother not know her daughter's thoughts? She sighed and said, "Girl, your life is worth it. In the future, you must serve Xiaobao well. Don't always bully him. Let him cook." "Mother, who bullied him? He's the one who bullies me." Wang Wan lowered her head and said embarrassedly, "That's good. When I got married, I was not as good as now. When little Zhu and little Yuan get married, I'll ask Xiaobao to help me think of a way." Wang Wan's mother was a little regretful, but also a little expectant. The people who stayed in the capital to watch the show did not wait for the situation of Qixia Gate and Chunming Gate to move to the 2 places after knowing the situation. The Gate of Golden Light on the west side of Chang and also moved. From the west, there was also a team sounding the gong. Behind the team were huge scrolls of paintings, just like the Luoyang Garden that they saw at Qixia Gate. The people here fixed their eyes on the first painting. It was a big lake with small words beside it, a bay of lake on both sides of the tide, Suzhou Taihu Lake. The second painting was a river and 3 mountains, and there was also a line of words. 3 mountains surround the Sisui River, Hunan Road, Green Dragon Mountain, and Sacred Mountain. The third painting was 5 mountains, and the words were 5 mountains pavilions, which happened to be the 5 mountains. There was a pavilion at the best position on each mountain. There was no need to be introduced, and the people who saw it knew what it meant. It was built by the Zhang family on the 5 mountains for the Wang family. The fourth painting was also a lake, but it was full of lotus flowers. If one looked carefully, one would immediately know what it was. It was Hangzhou's West Lake, and it said, thousands of acres of lotus fragrance, thousands of acres of land. The fifth painting was a forest with agarwood growing on it. Only those who had been to 100,000 mountains of Luzhou could recognize it. It said, 5 forests of agarwood, cranes rise everywhere. The places represented by the 5 paintings were understood by those who saw it. In the future, those places would belong to the Zhang family and the Wang family. They must have paid a lot of money to buy those places. My God, they bought Westlake. Will we still be able to go there in the future? A businessman wearing clothes of the Shui Yun brand looked at the painting in a daze. He had no doubt that Westlake would belong to the Wang family from now on. He was just worried that he would not be able to go to Hangzhou one day. Another businessman next to him also frowned and said, I guess so. They bought a lot of things, and they always let others go to many places. They don't care at all. Maybe they just want to have a good reputation and know who those places belong to. It's already good enough for others to give Na Zhang some land. How can they compare to the Zhang family? Every gift is either a mountain or a lake. They can't compare and can't compare. From now on, who doesn't know about the Zhang family? It's good that we can go there. But what about the tax? The previous businessman began to worry about the imperial court again. Of course, they have to pay. Buying a place has nothing to do with paying taxes, right? I guess it will be the same as before. Whoever does business in those places will have to pay taxes. I think the Zhang family and the Wang family will have to pay more. They can fix those places better. Next year, I'll definitely go there and have a look. Another businessman said enviously. At this time, he could not have any jealousy. This was the result when the gap between them was too big. The two businessmen were right. Li Longji, who was floating in the sky, did not care that the place had been bought by Zhang Xiaobao. He said happily to Wu Huifei and Empress Wang, if there is a chance in the future, we will go to Westlake. Xiaobao bought it and said that he would give it to Cuckoo. In the end, he will still be in charge of it. He will definitely invest a lot of money to fix it. With his ability, he will earn more money and the scenery in the lake will be better than now. Strongman, what did Xiaobao say? I remember that after he bought it from me, he said, Your Majesty, Xiaobao said that the people who bought the place with him can continue to do business, but they have to listen to his orders. They can't cause chaos in the market. They won't pay taxes, and they will pay taxes on the money they earn. In this way, they can collect more taxes than before. Gao Lisher quickly replied. Originally, the place could not be sold, but Xiaobao only wanted a nominal ownership right. If there was a war or other important times, the place would still be under the control of the imperial court. In addition, he had to make a promise. Only then would he sell it to him. Li Longji actually knew this, but he deliberately asked Gao Lisher to repeat it. He nodded happily. Yes, it's like this. In the future, Xiaobao said that he will make that phone call. I am not afraid, even if I am far away from the capital. I can call the morning court, just like how Xiaobao said that they will have a conference call in the future. I will have more time to travel around the Tang Empire. Strongman, you have to be my witness. Xiaobao promised me that as long as I go to a place where his business is, he will be responsible for all the expenses. He will not use a single cent from the national treasury. Yes, I will be your witness, Gao Lisher said firmly. It's not easy. Li Longji sighed. Usually, I can't out-scheme him, and now I finally found an opportunity. He is anxious to get along with Cuckoo, so how can I not compromise? Your Majesty is wise. Gao Lisher chimed in. However, his words did not sound right. It was as if Li Longji was taking advantage of the situation. Empress Wang and Wu Huifei also laughed. Wu Huifei leaned on Li Longji and said softly, Your Majesty didn't lower yourself to the same level as Zhang Xiaobao in the past. Otherwise, how could Zhang Xiaobao deceive your Majesty? Don't praise me. At this moment, I'm not sure either. I don't know if Xiaobao was really forced to compromise, or if he was taking a step back in order to advance. I have a feeling that he is scheming something, but I can't figure it out at the moment. Strongman, help me find out more. When I sold this place to him, it wasn't expensive. If he has other plans, I will find him and have a good talk with him. Li Longji was happy for a while, but then he started to feel uncertain. The main reason was that when they were discussing matters while eating Zhang Xiaobao's cooking at Hibiscus Garden, as long as he raised a condition, Zhang Xiaobao would agree to it without hesitation. That was how it was. The more it was like that, the more suspicious he became. Empress Wang added, Your Majesty, even if Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are scheming something, it's just money. It's not like they can spend it all. In the end, won't they still use it on the people of Great Tang? Look again, there's still some who haven't come out yet. Li Longji responded and continued to look in the direction of the Gate of Golden Light. The rest were probably coming from there. At the Gate of Golden Light, the next step had indeed begun. After the 5 paintings passed, there was a carriage about 100 feet away. It was slowly moving toward the city gate. There was a big basin on the carriage, and in the basin was a blood coral that was 10 feet tall. It had 9 forks, and 8 forks surrounded each other, like stars surrounding the moon. Seeing such a big coral, and a blood coral at that, the crowd burst into an uproar. They suspected that this was not the mortal world. Blood coral? Is it real? It can probably become an immortal. These were the words of an official from the capital. He had never seen a blood coral that was 10 feet tall. He had never even heard of it, let alone seen it. Today, it suddenly appeared in front of him, making him very excited. The others also looked at it without blinking, afraid that they would not have another chance after this. In the midst of the uproar, the blood coral passed by. Following it was a group of women. Each of the women held a plate in their hands, and on the plate were large pearls that were 1 inch in diameter. If it was just one, it would be fine, but there were at least 20 pearls on each plate. The total number of women added up to about 1,000 people. Even though the pearls at the back looked smaller, they were at least 80 centimeters in diameter. The pearls swayed as the people walked on the plate. When they were together, they could hear the loud sound of the pearls walking on the plate. The people who saw were almost unable to open their eyes because of the dazzling light of the pearls. They all suspected that they had obtained all the pearls in the Great Tang. After the pearls passed by, another carriage came by alone. There was also a big flower pot on the carriage, but it was not filled with blood coral. Instead, it was filled with an iron tree that was 20 feet tall. If it was just an iron tree, it would not be a big deal. However, in the middle of the iron tree, there was a yellow thing that looked like an enlarged pine tower. It's blooming. The mute can speak. The iron tree is blooming. Where do they find an iron tree that is blooming at this time? Is there anything in this world that they cannot find? It's beautiful, really beautiful. An old man praised. In fact, the flower of the iron tree was not particularly beautiful. There were many flowers that were better than the iron tree. The main reason was that it was very difficult for the iron tree to bloom. After the old man said that, the people nearby sniffed and said, "Isn't that so? It's so fragrant." After the blooming iron tree passed by, 2 bigger carriages came from behind. There was a layer of brocade cover on the outside. No one knew what was inside, but it looked very tall. The carriage at the back was like a building. The carriage at the bottom was actually made of rare rubber that was shipped back from overseas. There were 16 big wheels. Even so, there were deep ruts on the ground. As they got closer and closer to the city gate, the covers of the 2 carriages at the front were lifted by others. The people who saw it almost shouted at the same time. There were actually 3 rooms on the top and 2 on the bottom. They were made of crystal. The only thing that made people feel a little relieved was that the houses were not carved out of a single piece of crystal. They could see that the colors were different, but they were pieced together very well. Everyone knew that these were definitely not made of glass. The Zhang and Wang families had a lot of glass. Naturally, they would not use it as a wedding gift. They did not know where they found so many crystals. Needless to say, they would not be able to live in the houses. After the crystal houses in front passed by, the taller ones at the back came over. Similarly, someone lifted the covers from the top. A dazzling white expanse was revealed. At a glance, it was actually 7 zhang tall. Everyone turned around to look at the city gate. They did not know if they could pass through. The city wall was made of cement and was 5 zhang tall. What should we do? Many people were worried at the same time. They were afraid that the houses would not be able to pass through. They could also see the texture of the houses. They were definitely not made of steel. As long as one had a little bit of knowledge, they could tell that the color was silver. A 7 zhang tall house made of silver. No wonder the wheels and the material of the carriage were squeaking under the weight. It was obviously the most tacky silver, but at this time, there was not the slightest bit of vulgarity. The people who drove the carriage were not as nervous as the people who were watching. When the houses reached the city gate, a few hooks fell down from the top of the city gate and just happened to hook the top of the house. The other side twisted the iron chain, and the house was divided into two. The lower part was more than 4 zhang tall, and the upper part was more than 2 zhang tall. Just like that, the houses were separated and put back on the other side. This process was very slow. It lasted for half an hour. Even when the carriage was far away, the people still did not come back to their senses. The rumbling sound of horse hooves came, waking everyone up. They looked to the west again. At this time, they saw many carriages. The carriages were not too big. They were about the same size as the carriages used to pull carriages. However, there were too many of them. In addition to the west, there were also carriages in the east, north, and south of Chang'an. They were all driven towards the capital. The carriages were loaded with grain, smoked meat, wine jars, tables, chairs, and so on. Some of them even had umbrellas. The people who saw them were puzzled. They did not know why the carriages were bringing things here. Were they for the Wang family? Not to mention the current Wang family. Even if there were 100 times more, they would not be able to eat so much. The carriages were still coming here, one after another. The carriages in front stopped at the city wall, and the carriages behind stopped about 2 zhang apart. They all leaned to the side of the main road, making space in the middle. It seemed that there were more carriages to pass through. The carriages on the south side of the Yellow River were all over the bridge. On the other side of the bridge, it was connected to the canal. It stretched all the way to the south bank, and there was also no end in sight. If it were not for the flags in front of the carriages that represented the logistics of the Great Tang, it would be easy for people to think that they were all carriages of the Zhang family. Even so, it was still very exciting. It seemed that other than the Zhang family and the Wang family and the emperor, no one else could mobilize so many carriages. If one were to measure the distance on horseback, they would find that each direction was more than 20 li. It was even longer than the pilgrimage of Mount Tai. This is the 100 li carriages that Xiao Bao talked about. I thought that he was just saying it, but I didn't expect that he would really make 100 li carriages in 4 directions. There's also that boudoir made of silver. He said that it was 70 zhang, but he would rather separate when passing through the city gate than make it 50 zhang. Zhang Xiaobao, Zhang Xiaobao. People say that to make a beauty smile, you play with the warlords of the beacon fire. There's also the saying of keeping a mistress in a golden house. Zhang Xiaobao is even better than them, and he really dares to do it. This is bad. Li Shi, what else did Xiaobao say? While Li Longji was lamenting in the sky, he suddenly thought of an important question and hurriedly asked Gao Li Shi. Gao Li Shi swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He did not expect that every word his godson said to Wan was true. There was not the slightest bit of falsehood. He said that the carriage was 100 li long, but the 4 directions were 20 to 30 li long. After thinking for a while, he trembled and replied, Your Majesty, Xiaobao also said that there were 7 teams of elites, 8 banners, and that they would be able to cover the sun for 10 days. Also, he said that there would be 6 armies. When he told Your Majesty agreed. The 6 armies that Xiaobao mentioned don't exist now. What gods will army? Where is it? Later on, Xiaobao said that it was the Imperial Guards. Your Majesty, are you really going to lend it to him? Yes, I thought that he was just going to let the Imperial Guards show their faces, but it doesn't seem like it. Could it be that he wants to transfer my 10,000 cavalry battalion? If I had known, I wouldn't have drunk the wine that he deliberately sent that day. I understand now. He did it on purpose. He wasn't joking. If that's the case, Then the 7 teams of elites, 8 banners, and 8 banners will be coming soon. Speaking of 8 banners, his banners are all reinforced, and each battalion has at least 1,000 people. He might even have 1,500 people in each battalion. I wonder how many 7 teams of elites there are. That's not a big deal. It's only 10,000 people. What I'm afraid of is the second sentence. He wants to. Li Longji was also dumbfounded. He would be lying if he said that he wasn't nervous when he saw what Zhang Xiaobao had said back then really happened. When he thought of the words, 9 days, shade over the sun for 10 days, the first thing he looked at was Chang and city beneath his feet. Beside him, Wu Huifei also opened her mouth, but she couldn't say anything. She guessed the meaning of this sentence. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to cover the sky of Chang, and for 10 days. Wu Huifei shook her head vigorously and trembled again. Her face was pale as she said, Your Majesty, can Zhang Xiaobao really do that? Just to win the beauty's smile? If he really does that, what's the point of King Yu of Zhou? At this moment, Li Longji's throat and eyes were dry. He took the water handed by Empress Wang and took a big gulp. He nodded and said, I finally know. Zhang Xiaobao is a lunatic. I didn't eat for a month for nothing. The only difference is that King Yu of Zhou will destroy the country if he starts the fire. Zhang Xiaobao only spends a lot of money and has extraordinary organizing skills. Chang and is now famous. Now that I think of it, the famous logistics camp in Idyll has just been discovered. What's the big deal? Compared to today's battle array, it pales in comparison. What do you think, Li Shi? Gao Li Shi also drank a lot of water just now. He nodded vigorously and said, Your Majesty, this means that we don't have to worry about the war. Xiao Bao can make such a scene for Cuckoo today. When we fight in the future, we can leave the logistics to him. If he finds a reason to ignore it, Your Majesty should punish him. Yes, I think so too. In the future, if he dares to shirk on matters related to organizing and dispatching, I will not let him off lightly. I will order the 10,000 cavalry camp to prepare. I think Xiao Bao will come to me soon to ask for him. Li Longji gritted his teeth and said, he decided to let Zhang Xiaobao do more work in the future. Didn't you make such a scene for me today? Then you have to do the same for other things. If you don't do it, you are lying to the emperor. Sure enough, Li Longji was right. Not long after he finished speaking, Zhang Xiaobao came flying over. The hot air balloon came closer and closer. He bowed to Li Longji from afar and shouted, Your Majesty, I miss you. Li Longji looked helplessly at the approaching Zhang Xiaobao. When the distance between them was less than 10 meters and they were about to collide, he had his hot air balloon move to the side. Only then did he say, Xiao Bao, we miss you too. After this matter, we will probably think about you for a while. Zhang Xiaobao also knew that he had gone a little overboard, but who asked him to like Wang Wan? He didn't want Wang Wan to feel wronged in the slightest. Taking advantage of other people's carelessness, he turned his words into reality. He bowed to Li Longji in an embarrassed manner and said, Your Majesty, when this subject drank with Your Majesty that day, Your Majesty promised this subject something. Does Your Majesty still remember? I remember. Do you want to use the Chamberlain of Chamberlain or the 10,000 cavalry camp? Li Longji was no longer in the mood to chat with Zhang Xiaobao and asked directly. The Jinwu guards are meant to protect Your Majesty. How would this subject dare to use them? The 10,000 cavalry camp will do. Help me maintain order. I have prepared a banquet for everyone in Chang and in the vicinity. I have already brought the things here. After today, I will go to the hibiscus garden to cook 2 dishes for Her Majesty. They will be extremely delicious. Zhang Xiaobao had achieved his goal. He couldn't touch the Golden Guards, but he could still use the 10,000 cavalry battalion. After all, they weren't fighting a war. They were just there to maintain order. Which army doesn't protect me? Go, go, go. We will accompany you in your madness and let the other countries see the richness of my great Tang. In the future, if anyone dares to object, we can use you, Xiao Bao, to threaten them. Li Longji pondered for a moment and felt that it was not a big deal. He did not need the national treasury to pay for it. If Zhang Xiaobao had the money, then let him spend it. Zhang Xiaobao didn't stand on ceremony. He accepted the order, took the token, and turned around to make the arrangements. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao fly further and further away, Li Longji suddenly thought of what he had just said. He shouted to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, let me ask you. Do you want to cover Chang in city for 10 days? Chapter 890. Li Longji had agreed to lend the token to Zhang Xiaobao's 10,000 Riders Battalion, so Zhang Xiaobao did not hold back at all. He took the token and immediately went to arrange for the people. The 10,000 Riders Battalion was indeed good, and their horses were not ordinary horses. However, Zhang Xiaobao did not think much of them. An army that had not been on the battlefield for a long time, what kind of deterrence would they have? The people that Zhang Xiaobao had prepared for Wang had been secretly fighting with the disobedient tribes of Tubo and the people who had infiltrated. There were not many of them, and each time they were deployed, they were only involved in small-scale battles and special operations. Even Wang did not know about this. Sometimes, Zhang Xiaobao deliberately made arrangements behind Wang's back. It was not that he did not trust Wang, but he was afraid that Wang would worry too much. Now, he was finally going to take it out as a gift for Wang. Zhang Xiaobao was a little nervous, afraid that Wang would not like it. Previously, he had said that it was an elite force. In order to prevent the army from worrying too much, the 10,000 Riders Battalion could only be in charge of maintaining order when the people of Chang were invited to eat. At least, the discipline of this army was not bad. After receiving the order, the 10,000 Riders Battalion appeared outside and in Chang. On one hand, they maintained order, and on the other hand, they spread the word that the food and drinks carried by so many carriages were prepared for everyone. The ordinary people were now living a good life. They did not care about the food that Zhang Xiaobao gave them, but mainly wanted to share in the good luck. The wealthy merchants and the family members of the officials were worried about offending Zhang Xiaobao. They had seen the situation today. Not to mention following Zhang Xiaobao's instructions. Even if they copied one of them, they would not be able to do it. The simplest way was to give some books and medical books. However, if they really wanted to give them, they would find that they could not find such good medical books. They would not be able to casually take out a few of the same medical books. As a result, there was a special situation inside and outside Chang'an. Those who knew the news came to the tables set up and looked for acquaintances. They talked about what had happened today while eating and drinking. From their point of view, the Zhang family and Wang family's recruitment was already over. All this food was just a celebration. Only a small number of people understood that there was still one most important thing that had not appeared, and that was the word Zhang Xiaobao had said back then, which were taken as a joke by others. 7 teams of elites, 8 battalions banners, covering the sun for 9 days and lasting for 10 days. Back then, when news of this matter spread, claiming that it was Zhang Xiaobao's promise to Wang, it was written in black and white. The people led by Li Longji thought that Zhang Xiaobao was exaggerating to make the beauty happy. However, after seeing everything that had happened today, those who knew about this matter no longer dared to think that way. They realized that Zhang Xiaobao was capable of doing anything. Now, all they had to do was wait for the last 2 hours to appear quickly and end quickly. They had to stop messing around. The normal life of the entire Chang and city had been disrupted. Sister, can people live in that house? Are you and brother going to live there in the future? If we live there together, will it collapse? Xiao Bei, who was standing in the same basket as Wang in the hot air balloon, asked longingly when he saw the beautiful crystal house. Wang's face had not changed color since the first team entered the city today. She was always so red. Sometimes it was because she was shy when talking to her mother, but more often it was because she was excited because Zhang Xiaobao had kept his promise. Wang, who had thought that her mentality was stable enough and would not fluctuate too much, still found it hard to calm down when she saw everything happen according to Zhang Xiaobao's promise. This was especially so when she saw so many beautiful pearls the gorgeous house, and the teams that had just appeared to deliver food from all directions. Looking at the spectacular scene from the sky, Wang Wan felt as if she was in a dream. She repeated Zhang Xiaobao's words over and over again in her heart. Now, there were only two things left to see. As she thought about it, Wang Wan looked to the west again. She knew that if there was an army coming, it would definitely come from there. Zhang Xiaobao would not mobilize the people from Lizhou, nor would he use Li Sun's people, let alone take the wolf soldiers from Luzhou. Sister, are you going to live with brother alone in the future and don't want us anymore? Xiao Bei asked again when she did not get a reply. Her face was full of worry. It's okay. I'll be with you. I want you. Little Yuan stood behind Xiao Bei and said with concern, Who wants you? Do you know how to tell stories? Do you know how to cook? Xiao Bei clearly did not give little Yuan any face. Wang Wan regained her senses at this moment. She pinched Xiao Bei's face and said, I don't want to live in that house. It's quite hard. I'll have to live with our Xiao Bei in the future. Yes, I also noticed that it's very hard. It's made of jade. Even if it was made into a house, no one would want to live in it. Even if there were quilts everywhere, the jade would still be very cold. I wonder why brother built this house. It's not even as good as our house. Xiao Bei followed Wang Wan's words and analyzed. Wang Wan and Wei Wei smiled and did not say anything else. They looked to the west again. Just as many people were preparing to have a good meal and go home to rest, a cloud of dust suddenly appeared in the west. The people in the west of Chang and could clearly feel the ground trembling. Even Li Longji, who was flying in the sky, seemed to be shocked when he saw the billowing cloud of dust and the blurry figures in the dust. The people who had just sat down to eat had no choice but to stand up again. They tried their best to hide by the side of the road, afraid that they would be hurt by the sudden situation. Wang Wan raised her binoculars to look, but her eyes were not enough. She could not estimate the number of people. The cloud of dust was really too big. If she looked carefully, she could vaguely see that the troops coming over were 3 horses per person. In other words, if there were 1,000 people, there would be 3,000 horses. Wang Wan was very familiar with this scene. She was once familiar with the light cavalry in historical records that could run continuously on the grassland. As the troops got closer and closer, the ground in Chang and city, which was closer to the west, also started to shake. The rumbling sound of the horses' hooves was continuous, like rolling thunder. Zhang Xiaobao, who was in charge of organizing this, frowned and picked up his binoculars to look at the sky. He did not continue to pay attention to the cavalry troops below. After waiting for a while, he did not see any changes in the sky. He could not help but ask the people beside him, Where are they? Chapter 891. Listening to the explanation of the person beside him, Zhang Xiaobao was slightly helpless. He looked down at the billowing dust below and ordered the person beside him, hand over the command of the Special Forces and the Wind Cavalry 8 battalions. Yes, young master, the person beside Zhang Xiaobao replied, then hesitated and asked, Young master, who will you hand it over to? Of course, it will be to the Bohai provincial governor. Zhang Xiaobao realized for the first time that the person beside him had become a fool. Understood. This person did not dare to ask any more questions. He was indeed a fool. He was only in charge of the military side of things. When he saw the scene in front of him, he was still in shock. The beeping sound of a telegram rang out. A group of people immediately ran to the hot air balloon that Wang Wan was sitting on. The flag signaler waved the flag and beat the drum twice. Wan, what are they doing? When Wang Wan looked down, her mother asked curiously, let me take command? Mother, Xiao Bao is handing over the command of the army to me. Wang Wan did not need anyone to translate. She could easily understand the signal and replied to her mother. Then take command. Remember not to make any mistakes. Wang Wan's mother said again. Wang Wan did not have the time to reply to her mother. Using the binoculars, she swept the dust from the west and began to make hand signals to the people below. The people below saw Wang Wan's hand signals through the binoculars and turned them into telegrams to the front. The people in front were standing on the city wall. The moment they received the telegram, they immediately raised the flag and beat the gongs and drums. The sound of gongs, drums, and flags fluttered in the wind. The troops that had stirred up the dust immediately moved according to the order. The sound of horses neighing could be heard first. Then, the people outside the west gate heard the sound of one and one. With a rumble, the whole world became quiet. Only the large tremor on the ground had not dissipated from the hearts of the people. At this moment, the wind seemed to know that it had to cooperate. It changed its direction and gradually blew away the dust, revealing what was hidden inside. Those with binoculars and good vantage points were the first to see the situation in front of them. There were countless horses and countless people. The people on the horses clamped the horses under them with their legs and held the reins with their hands. Each person had 3 horses and stopped there quietly. Get closer, get closer. We want to see how the army Xiao Bao has trained for cuckoo is like. Li Longji, who was already slowly moving forward, ordered the hot air balloon to continue moving closer to him. Wu Huifei was a little worried and advised, "Your Majesty, the cavalry below all carry spears." "I know. Do you think they can beat me?" If Xiao Bao and Cuckoo really have such thoughts, there is no need for the people below to take action. At this distance, the 2 of them can shoot me with their sniper rifles from the hot air balloon. I don't think they will miss. Li Longji did not care. Now that weapons were advanced, if a close official really wanted to make a move against him, he would have been killed long ago. When more dust was blown away by the wind and fell to the ground, the entire army was revealed. The members of the Imperial clan, watching from the other hot air balloons, could not help but gasp. It was not that the army was very orderly. Compared to that, they were not as orderly as the guards of honor that Zhang Xiaobao had specially trained for the Imperial court. What was shocking was the valiant attitude of the soldiers below that seemed to be endless. All of them were topless, and there were many grenades and magazines hanging on their waists. They carried guns on their backs, and dust stuck to their bodies, which were washed into streaks by sweat. Their short hair and faces of various shapes were also streaked with traces of sweat when they were dripping. If one looked closely, they would find that every one of them was from the Great Tang. They were all Tubo. It was unknown how they were chosen, but they were tall and strong. One could see a kind of unswerving determination in the eyes of the people in the first few rows. Everyone stood there motionless and did not make any unnecessary movements. Even if sand got into some people's eyes due to the dust, they still let their tears flow out to help wash it away. However, no one rubbed their eyes with their hands. Seeing this scene, some of the members of the Imperial clan smiled. Wei Wei nodded. That's right. Devilish Cuckoo's army is definitely not ordinary. Some became nervous. Will Wang Wan take this opportunity to make a move on us? Some were confused. How did they train an army? Who is the army that Zhang Xiaobao sent to Wang Wan to attack? Wang Wan's hot air balloon was moving towards the west of Chang and city at the fastest speed. Her eyes were wide open. With a rough look, she knew that it was an army of 8 battalions. The flags were raised there, and each battalion had more people than a normal battalion. It was estimated that there were 1,000 reinforced battalions. Biting her lips, Wang Wan murmured softly, 8,000 elite cavalry. Xiao Bao trained 8,000 elite cavalry for me. Humph, he even secretly didn't tell me. I'll settle the score with him tonight. They're much more powerful than our children's regiment. I thought they were just a little lacking in size. What's with that gaze? It's so scary, little Yuan. Little Bei also raised a large telescope and looked in that direction. Little Yuan was also shocked. So powerful. Contempt. Contempt for life. They've probably killed before. Don't talk nonsense. How many people have brother and sister killed? I've also never seen them look at us like that. Little Bei tried to lean on Little Yuan. That's why they have to listen to brother and sister. Little Yuan said a very philosophical sentence. Wangwa didn't care about what her brother and sister said. Her heart was already filled with emotions. She understood that when the physiological conditions were right, no matter what Zhang Xiaobao did to her, she couldn't really oppose it. However, Zhang Xiaobao had been holding back, waiting for this moment, and secretly making arrangements. In the future, these 8,000 people could be brought out into the open, and she could use what she had learned to her heart's content. The elite soldiers of the 8 battalions below were true iron-blooded warriors. If they didn't charge, they wouldn't stop charging. For 5,000 years, no one would give a woman such a gift. Not even Empress Wu Zetian's imperial army's 1,000 cavalry. Why is a man so meticulous? Thinking about it, Wang Wan muttered. She rubbed the corner of her eyes with her sleeves and gestured to the people below to put on the bayonets. After a dozen breaths of time after Wang Wan gave the order, the soldiers of the 8 battalions below took out their spears, retracted their spears, took out their bayonets, put on their bayonets, and straightened their spears. A series of actions were completed smoothly. When the white bayonets were put on, almost everyone was stunned. Wang Wan and Wei Wei were stunned. Little Hai behind them asked doubtfully, "What kind of bayonet is this?" It's estimated to be 3 feet long, but the solitude in front is too big. It's actually 90 degrees. It's like the crescent moon. At this time, Wang Wan explained to her brother. She narrowed her eyes and stared at the bayonet. She said, "This is the bayonet used by the cavalry when charging. The horses of the cavalry are all Fergana horses that are less than 3 years old. In short sprints, they can reach a speed of more than 40 kilometers per hour. The effect of force is mutual. When the bayonet is stabbed, you will also have to bear the same force. When the time comes, what do you think the result will be, Little Hai? They will fly down from the horse. If the opponent is also riding a horse to charge, then..." Little Hai was already speechless. "So, when the bayonet is stabbed into someone's body, it will be over for you. Even if the speed is slow, once the bayonet is stabbed, you won't be able to pull it out. That's why your brother equipped the cavalry with bayonets like this. It's not to kill many enemies, but when they're surrounded, they just need to charge through for a short distance, and then use their spears to fight back." Wang Wan looked at the bayonet that was shining brighter than a Damascus knife and explained, "Sister, brother is really amazing. He can think of this." Little Bei actually didn't understand, but when it came to her brother, she had to support him. She then pointed with her hand. "I see Uncle Huzi. He's in that small group of people." Wang Wan looked carefully. Wasn't that right? Beside the 8 battalions, there was half a battalion of people. Huzi, as the leader, was at the forefront. At this moment, Wang Wan finally understood what Xiaobao meant by the 7 elite teams. It turned out that they were the Special Forces. Huzi and the rest of the 56 people were the first Special Forces team to be groomed. They were the Team Zero, the strong and strong seedlings. You only know how to fool around. What does the Special Forces need so many people for? I have always fought fair and square. I don't use underhanded methods." Wang Wan looked at the Special Forces that were half a battalion's worth of Special Forces happily and said with a smile, "You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.